we live? Live video is start. We are live. All right. I had to just get started because the day is going by. What did Grandma say? Actually, not my grandma. I got this from four old centenarians, sisters. Every day, cook something. Every day, fix something. Every day, clean something. Okay, so I was wanting to, because I mean, use this because there's certain, even here on Facebook. But see, the nice thing about Facebook now is because Zuck got in so much trouble, is that he doesn't delete the videos so much anymore, and you can actually speak pretty freely. It's just that nobody sees your stuff. He'll never push it out, so you'll have to come here to see a video like this. But I can actually speak more freely than say on YouTube, and YouTube makes it so that you can't say much of anything about you. There's certain words that the AI flags. If you use the word, an English word, they will take your video down and say it doesn't meet their community standards, or it doesn't meet guidelines, or you were giving medical advice, or whatever excuse they have for taking your video down. Okay, over here on Facebook, they allow you to speak freely, sort of, because it's the United States of America. Actually, it's not. It's United States. This is United States Corporation, and all of this is under the commerce of the United States Corporation. And if you read the Supreme Court cases, first in the United States Corporation, they have plenary power over you, as long as you don't fill out your paperwork. Okay. And we'll talk very briefly about that, but mostly what I want to do is get on to some warnings about what comes. But 5-star passports, find out about 5-star passports. In order to get the 5-star passports, you may not take benefits and privileges from the corporation. Otherwise, you are U.S. citizen. And then they'll try to say stuff about sovereign citizens. I'm an American citizen, not a sovereign citizen. But Americans are sovereign. You want to argue the point? Any one of you motherfuckers in the judiciary want to argue the point that Americans are not sovereign. They waive those rights under fraud, and this is why the whole system of debt collection and so forth, there isn't any money once you figure things out. That's not opinion. You have Federal Reserve notes. Using those Federal Reserve notes is a privilege. And they assume you're an expert when in actual fact you're completely ignorant of what's going on. Anyway, this right here, and I've been talking about it, that is a silver dollar. When my mom and dad got together in the 1960s, 1963, and he took her out for dinner, he spent 2.5 of these. And it was a good dinner. Right now, 2.5 of these is about $75, a little more than that actually. Okay, and back in 1963, $75 would have bought you quite the dinner. Yeah, they had steak, they had a bottle of wine, everything for 2 of these. And a half of one. See, people forget how bad you've been ripped off. This right here, I love this coin. It makes me laugh. I don't know if you can see it. It's a Dogecoin, but it's made out of silver. See, what they did was make sure that you guys decided that crypto was better than this. And you, absolutely, if you count in FRNs, the money that I put in this, if I had put it in Bitcoin, I'd be a multi-millionaire right now. And I have a couple of friends that did. It's awesome. And they are multi-millionaires now on Bitcoin. And they've been smart enough to take their Bitcoin and turn it into FRNs or land or travel or hotels and so on. I have one friend, I'm loving it because he posts here on Facebook occasionally, and he quit working and just went traveling. Why? Right? He wasn't in love with his job. Why not just go travel? So that's what they've been doing. Speaking of traveling, my sons are in Thailand. They were partying up a little too much, even for them, and they decided to check themselves into a monastery, and they had interesting experiences there. again, the Christ consciousness, it comes in many forms, and once you understand the Christ consciousness, you don't have an issue with someone else that calls his Christ consciousness Buddhist consciousness, or Hindi consciousness, or Judaic consciousness, or Muslim consciousness. The Christ consciousness, you've got a left-hand path, that is the path of the bad guys. Those are the ones that are going to have a little ceremony coming up. It's a big ceremony. The same way we have a big ceremony coming up on Sunday. First, we need to have the vernal equinox. Then, we need to have a full moon. Then, we need to have the first Sunday after that full moon, and we call that Easter. They call that the Feast of Ishtar. And I'm not going to go down that path too much, but the guys that celebrate and are Luciferians are celebrating not on Sunday, but on Saturday. El, right? Saturn. That's El's day. See, I have to pick my words. That's why you hear me saying when I watch videos and I see people doing that, it makes me crazy. I used to be a DJ, you know, and that was one of the things that I worked on with my DJs, because I was the operations manager. I ran the place. And when I hired weekenders and they wanted to go live on the air, we didn't let them for the first little while. Most of it was an automated station. But once they got it under their belts where they could turn on a microphone and not get tongue-tied, we let them go. But there are certain crutches, okay, those kind of things. And it comes when you're self-censoring and you're not sure what you're saying, or you're not sure how you're going to say it, because there's a lot of things that I can't, even here on Facebook, have to self-censor. All right, coming up, we are almost there. I know there's all kind of political turmoil, and you can hear this and you can hear that. First things, if any Mormons listening, fill your Mormon locker. Joe and Brigham told you what to put in the Mormon locker. Put stuff in your Mormon locker, and unless you plan on doing that, you're probably going to have to put more than enough stuff in your Mormon locker so you can feed friends and family, because a lot of your friends and family are going to consider what I'm saying here complete nonsense. Oh, that's silly. I'm hoping that it's nonsense, and I'm hoping that the transition is... Oh, shoot, I didn't bring any of those. The transition, I should have had some currency to show you, so that we can see. But that is their primary tool of enslavement, the Federal Reserve note. And see, if I had a pile of them, and I did have a pile of them, and I've made YouTube videos about it, you look on the bills, and you look at the date, they haven't printed bills since 2017. Just go look. And you may find a few ones, and I just did here, because I read ones and fives that were printed in 2021. But you won't find any in 22, 23, 24, or this year. And if you do, prove me wrong, and take a picture of it and post it someplace. But they're transitioning out of the Federal Reserve note. Okay, we've all, including myself, gotten very comfortable using Federal Reserve notes. So, and humans hate change, even if it's for the better. Humans hate change. And we're going to have some... maybe a little bit of a rough spot going forward because of these changes. But the other side, I've said it for years, you can ask anybody this, we are going to come out the other side smelling like roses. We're going to have technology. Not everybody's going to get there, because some people didn't understand that it wasn't safe and effective because they couldn't do mathematics. So you think it's a joke. It's not a joke. I didn't fall for any of that stuff immediately, because these are pinhole glasses. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But with these pinhole glasses, yeah, any kind of dust and small particles can get through it. You can see that there's holes there. Okay, it's the same thing. How is that mask going to stop microscopic particles? The short answer is it's not. Okay, that was really simple math. That was, I'm seeing here, I got it. So if the mesh, look, I have my whiteboard. If the mesh is like that, and that's magnified, and the stuff that it's trying to keep, yeah, maybe a couple will stick on there, but overall it goes right through. And then you have this, go look at the physician's desk reference, and then look at some of the videos, or not videos, articles that I posted. One was by a dentist who was warning other dentists that those masks don't protect you if your client is sick or if there's infection or other things. Um, and also in the physician's desk reference, it says you should change them, repeat them, you know, after, I can't remember now what the exact number was, but it wasn't like 4 hours. You need to change them constantly because you put that, what are you doing? It's moisture, and then you get a geometric progression of any kind of bacteria. And even if you're not sick, your mouth is not the cleanest thing. So, and it's and you know, it's parts per million. Again, mathematics. Um, while you're here like this, no problem. But you put it on the mask, and then it gets to start breeding in that moist atmosphere or environment. And then there's a geometrical progression of how long it takes for some of that bacteria, which can be problematic, to become an issue. And you put it right. And so I saw people with all kind of pimples and dots on their faces because you got that bacteria that gets into your pores. This happened to my son, my youngest son, because my older boy, when he was with me, he never had to wear never had to wear a mask. We had birthday parties. We lived life normally as we could, with all the other diaper face freaks around us. Okay, now the diaper face freaks are dropping, and this is why I call them diaper face freaks. Any of you guys get an apology? Anybody? Right? And I make fun of some guys, especially some of the guys on Maui, because they had the signs in front of their stores. Oh no, no mask, no service. So now I ask them, do I still have to wear a mask? And then another guy, he's moved his business online, and I was like, so do I have to wear a mask to order? Okay, I don't suffer fools well, but you'll see that with children, I have infinite patience. With adults, I do not have such infinite patience because you should know better. Okay, the things that are coming, like I said, we may have a smooth transition, but I don't trust them to give a smooth transition. The best laid plans of mice and men, right? So just in case, I want to be absolutely, positively wrong, but just in case, have some food stored up, have some fresh water stored up, right? Because we're here in United States, right? I was going to say we're Americans, but most of you are not Americans. Most of you, oops, yeah, there it is. What's that then? What's that? How do you get a 5-star passport, right? Uh, that's a peace flag. The battle flag of the U.S. corporation, I've got nothing to do with that. I am not a U.S. citizen. I'm an American citizen. And, oh, by the way, just by the way, and so are my sons. Let's see here. I'm going to write it down. American. Oh, look. Citizen. Oops, that's an E. As opposed to U.S., that stands for United States. And you'll notice it's not a USA. You notice it's not USA military. Oops, go this way. It's not USA military. It's U.S. military because it's United States, the corporation. And that's a United States citizen. And that C is not capitalized. And the difference in capitalization, okay, so that's why I got the board, is a big difference. Uh-oh, I got reflections. There you go. Okay. But the idea being is that find out about a 5-star passport. It's not conspiracy theory. The mother of my children was telling my boys that it was conspiracy theory. And yet they both, well, one has a 4-star and one has a 5-star. Why does the one have a 4-star when they went down at the exact same time? All right, so this is for all you homeschoolers. They don't want you hearing what I'm about to say. Because then they don't have plenary power over you and they can't take your kids. All right, you need to know the difference and what a 5-star passport is. All right, there is a process of getting it, but you cannot accept benefits from the state. Because if you accept benefits and you sign for those benefits, you are going to have a bad time because you don't understand that there's this thing called adhesion, and when you accept those benefits, you waive certain rights, whether they tell you or not. Okay, Basic Law 101. See, and there was a time when lawyers had to study mathematics. In order to get your law degree, you had to pass calculus. And there's a reason for that, because rhetoric and logic and reasoning and mathematics are like this. Okay, so when you are beneath the age of 18, you are considered a minor. We all know this. Okay, minors cannot engage in contracts. You can't. A minor can't get his signature notarized. A minor can't do a lot of different things because they're minors. Now, all contracts with minors are voidable. They're not void, but they are voidable, because when you're under the age of 18, you're not considered competent to know the law, or to know what you're doing, or to know what you're signing. And you may have done stuff that your mom or dad told you to do that may or may not be in your best interest. Okay, so you have 1 year of grace. When you turn 18, if you want to void the contracts that you're at, like driver's licenses that you got, right? Do you have a right to travel? You do. And I wouldn't go on the side of the road and tell I have the right to travel. You're going to get in trouble. But you're not engaging in commerce, and you're exercising a right, right? You cannot be penalized for exercising a right. But you have to know how to go about it. But anyway, the bottom line is, when you go in there and get a driver's license, that signature waives your fundamental, unalienable, God-given rights, and puts you under the plenary power of Congress and their statutes. Okay, and they have all manner of statutes in the various 50 subcorporations known as state of, say, state of Hawaii, state of Arizona, state of Illinois, state of, etc., where in those statutes, and they tell you, oh, if you're going to homeschool, you got to do this, this, and this. And you got to jump through these hoops, and they try to, right? Some states have decided, hands off, because they were getting sued. But a lot of states were trying to make it where they have, right? And there are and then there's 50 different rules and regulations. Some states, all you got to do is say, it's my intent to homeschool. You send them a letter, and you're done. Other states, you got to send them a letter, and anyway, depending on what state you're in, because many of you homeschool. All right, one of the things that you should teach those homeschooler children is what I'm telling you here, and you should take a look at some of the things, okay, that I'm talking about when it comes to law. Because, see, my one boy did not ever, he had a driver's license, he had a bank account, but he basically wrote a letter that said, hey, when I got all these things, I didn't know I was waiving my unalienable rights. I'm not going to waive my rights. Further, I know the difference between the thing that was born alive, a creation of God, and the thing that they created after I was alive. They stole the name and gave it a number, and so on. All right, there's a difference between the name of the thing and the thing named. All right, and I'm not going to get into all of that here. I can't. It's hours and hours. One of the best places you can go, see, how am I going to say it? The profane don't like profanity. Some of the most profane don't like profanity. So what a lot of the guys have figured out, including myself, just swear a little bit and you will get rid of a lot of Karens like that. So one of the best places you can go is, the guy's name is Brandon Joe Williams. I will caution you, he is not a Mason, but he is a Scientologist, a high-level Scientologist. But the man is well-read. He's young and brash, and it's awesome. And he's starting to figure out a few things that I figured out many years ago, because we all had the idea that these guys were all up and honorable. And that's not the case at all. So anyway, his website and his whole brand is One Stupid Fuck. Go look it up. See, and so many people, well, not so many, some people are turned off by the F word. And see, some of the people that used to come here to me, they were saying, oh, he says the F word, blah, 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 it's not fit for kids. You're right. Facebook was never supposed to be for kids. And if your kids can't handle the F, well, oh well. Right? Go someplace else and get your knowledge. Some of those places, they're younger than me by quite a bit. In fact, for some of them, I've been teaching math longer than they've been alive. All right, I know it works, and we're going to get to that in just a second, too, because I know I have detractors. Oh, it doesn't really work. You can't just play with kids. I'm at the point now where I've had not one, two, three different people. Second generation. I tutored them when they were teenagers and little, and now they've got kids of their own. That's how freaking old I am. and they want me to, either coach them or tutor a little bit, or because this system doesn't work, right? So they want to be second generation in it. One mom, I didn't teach her, but her Montessori school absolutely used Mortensen math, and now she wants Mortensen math for her youngins. Pardon me. And this is the other thing. If you've got a 5-star passport, you understand that the corporation comes in 2 flavors, Republican and Democrat. They try to call themselves liberals and conservatives. My mom was a liberal, an absolute liberal. My mom was such a liberal that back in 1963, she had sex with a black man. Now that's no big deal. But back in 1963, that was one hell of a big deal. In ways that I can't even explain to my little boys. The same way they can't understand that the whole thing about homosexuality and so forth. In my generation, coming up in the 60s and 70s, I came up in Hawaii, which was good, because in Hawaii we have the concept of mahu, or they have the concept of mahu. I'm in Arizona right now, and mahu is just from the time we were children, there were a few of them who didn't want to play football, didn't want to and I grew up in a place called Waihe'e, which was it was rough and tumble, right? Men were men then. And see, we used to scrap on the football field like teammates, right? Fighting over the ball or whatever and so forth. We didn't hate each other. We just settled our differences physically. And they had a thing where maybe you had a good day and maybe I had a bad day, and tomorrow if we settle our differences again, I might be on top and you might be on the bottom. And we were just playing, right? I will go to that school now, and I was supposed to go there and give them some math. And anyway, the DOE has taken over and made it impossible. Even Mortensen Company balked at all the information they wanted, because what do? They try to keep everybody out, so that only if you understood what was going on in education and textbooks and so forth, and right, the dumbing down that's 100% on purpose. There are still people that will try to argue with me. No, 60% of people that graduate from public schools can't read. So actually, 50% are entirely illiterate. Of the ones that can read, they read at about the 6th grade level. Several billionaires have told you it's going to be difficult to be productive with a population like that. And a lot of people, it becomes clear, even just fooling around on Facebook, they can't read English well. And then some of the trolls that used to come to this page, after I'd mess with them, you see me do it, and then I can see English is their second language. So they're getting paid to troll. And what were they trying to tell you? And see, I'm not going to mention too many names, but really, you're going to take advice and believe people that haven't been teaching math as long as I have, that system doesn't work. Here's a better one. There isn't a better one. Like, straight up, there isn't a better one. I've seen them all. I've read their books. I've been around every kind of classroom you can think. I've been in Montessori schools. I have been in, and this is where the method comes from, where Jerry is, because me, Jerry, Mario, Maria. All right, it's a direct line. Jerry took their material and made it better. And the way he made it better was because he was a clinician, like me, sat in classrooms with children, didn't sit up here talking theory, went into the classroom. I see what works. I have tutored every kind of student. I used to have students that were, in local high schools that were failing algebra, and I figured out, and it was always the same thing. And what it all boiled down to was them not knowing their addends and not being able to multiply easily. And see, this method got neutered by many different people that semi-adopted it, and they couldn't even do this much. I'm not going to name names again, but, did I not bring, I need an eraser. I was sure I threw a paper towel over here. Okay, yes I did. All right, so, here's some really basic stuff. This is not up for debate. See that pattern right there? Across and up? That is multiplication. Across and down, that is division. There's no wiggle room there, people. And what I see constantly on the internets is people using this pattern talking about that, or people using this pattern talking about this. They don't even know that much. And I don't care if you don't feel like it should be. Okay, the math doesn't care. Mom, across and up is multiplication, across and down is division. And we use this rectangle to facilitate the counting. And that symbol right there is shorthand for rectangle. This one is shorthand for square. And yes, it means square. Yes, this means rectangle. Okay, so a few of them decided that they would take the methodology and kind of sort of bastardize it so that they could put it in the public school. Matthew C. Okay, Matthew C. isn't showing kindergartners third power algebra. They still are under that spell where they have to do addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division before we start teaching them fractions. No, you use fractions to teach addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. You'd use algebra to teach multiplication, subtraction, and division. Right? No, that's crazy talk. And yet you see my 5-year-old, my 4-year-old, before they were even in school doing algebra. And then they get to school, and like I said, I have to, we laugh, and sometimes we laugh till we cry. Literally, we laugh so hard because of the experiences looking back that they had. I tried to give my youngest these. These are pinhole glasses. See, I've been around the block a little bit because I used to, back in the day, I used to go to all kind of conventions, homeschool convention, new life convention, new age conventions, because this is speed learning. And see, what they take 12 years to teach you, we can get done in 3. Honestly. Okay, which is why our students, we produce some of the top students ever. And a lot of times these schools in Texas, in Nebraska, in, where else? I can't think. Iowa, New York, their top students was all Mortensen Math, but they didn't tell anybody it was Mortensen Math because they didn't want them to know. They just wanted to come to the school. So they're gatekeepers. In fact, I've had a few gatekeepers over the years where I was tutoring the homeschool moms didn't tell their friends because they didn't want them to know. And yet there's like this undercurrent, oh, it doesn't really work. It absolutely works. And it works so well that blow a lot of moms' minds with the stuff that, I remember I did one seminar, and I've done so many, I don't remember where that one was, but I don't do them anymore. It's been years and years since I've done one in person. But I had one seminar where one of them came up to me afterwards, and I always got A's in math, and I always thought I knew algebra, and you blew me away because I showed her how to apply the algebra and teach it to her 5-year-old. Because she was good at math, but she was failing at getting the points. I've had many dads that were engineers, physicists, that they couldn't impart the mathematics onto their daughters because they just got it, right? The symbols didn't matter to them. They didn't need to see the pictures. But then when they saw the pictures, they're all of them universally, wow, okay, right? Like, why didn't they show us this? Some engineers, and I'm talking about prestigious engineers. I won't name those names because I don't want to make it name dropped out. But guys that were like the head engineer that built some of the biggest dams on the North American continent. Yeah, big fan of Mortensen Math. Used this to teach his grandchildren. And pissed at Jerry. Both of those men are dead now. I could tell stories, but I'm not going to. But see, Jerry. Unlike me, Jerry could care less. In fact, he, see, I don't want to say anything disparaging because I like the guy. Up until the day he died, I liked the guy. But he used to say, I'm not immoral, I'm amoral. He just didn't care. So what he would do is we'd do a seminar, and he was the consummate salesman, right? I mean, like, it was fun watching him from the back of the room. And he'd get, especially Mormons, he had a thing. He was a Mormon, but he left the church, clearly. And, but he knew that Mormons, for the most part, deal with Mormons. So he would always make it like he was a good Mormon. And then he'd fill their heads with visions of sugar plums and buy 50 kits, and you're going to be rich, and we're going to give you a franchise and all this other stuff. And then they'd buy all the kits and put them in their garage, and then they didn't know how to use them. Right? Because oral tradition. Jerry could take a top tray and a bottom tray, and see, a top tray and a bottom tray, that's all you need. You could definitely more manipulatives, better. Having some fractions and having the basic operations, you gotta have basic operations pieces. Make your own. Those are super easy. All you need. Say I did bring stuff for show and tell. Yeah, you need one of these. And 12 guys with these didn't knock down 3 buildings. Just saying. Anyway, but you need one of these. See, and again, if you could do mathematics, that whole story is just complete nonsense. Complete nonsense from top to bottom, from day one. But you can't do the math, so you couldn't do the physics. But anyway, take this and make some pieces. You can make fraction tiles with one of these. And all you need is a steady hand and a straight edge. And you can make a lot of pieces. Now, the problem is you can't really make these. And if you make these flat, they're not as good. You gotta have them. See? And even this, see? This is a older iteration where oops, where do I have them? They're all on the floor because everyone's playing. Where do you play? Where do your kids play? Oh, on the floor. Where are you going to teach math? Oh, at the kitchen table or at a desk. Oh, okay. Anyway, so this right here is, right, because he was a clinician. So he took these original, these used to be made out of wood, the first kits, and then we got injection molding and see, ooh, I'm over there on TikTok and it's very tempting, but I know how much work it is. But I could make one of these kits that are pretty much identical. Same way Matthew C. did, and same way a couple companies in Singapore did, or well, one company in Singapore and another one in Hong Kong. Impossible to get those pieces though over here, basically. But anyway, they're identical, right? Same colors and same everything, except for Matthew C. They snap together, and I found those are good, but these are better, and I've used both extensively. Because sometimes the parents don't have these and they don't want to spend the money or take the time it's going to take to get these. So we just use the Matthew C blocks, which are serviceable. These are better. It's that simple. And I don't even sell blocks anymore. So why do I care? Just like I don't sell this stuff. Why do I care? Why would I warn you? People couldn't figure that part out. Now, see, and some of you guys listen to some stupid people who can't do mathematics, who put a face diaper on and shot themselves up and then told you they never felt better, even though it's a freaking bioweapon, and I can prove it's a bioweapon in no uncertain terms. The patents are there if you do. They hide nothing from us. Nothing. Now, some of you, so stupid, you became dangerous. Dangerous to your own, dangerous to others, and then you took the extra step. Don't listen to that guy. Should have listened to me, shouldn't you? Hindsight being 2020. Did you get any apologies from the nurses or doctors? Did you get any apologies from any of the people that said, "Oh, that guy's crazy"? You didn't get an apology, did you? And some of those people are now dead, and some of them are sick, and they're sick. And see, here's the thing: Mark Twain told you that once they're fooled, they'll never admit. They die before they admit they were fooled. Okay, they got fooled. And see, they can't, the cognitive dissonance, they cannot believe that they got fooled. Because I'm in 100% agreement with them, believe it or not. They should have been able to trust those guys. They should have been able to trust the doctors. They should have been able to trust the media. They should have been able to trust the government. They should have been able to, but they couldn't, because there was an agenda going on that maybe you didn't understand. Because a lot of the Pollyannas out there, you want to pretend that there isn't any evil in the world. And I'm here to tell you there is. And that evil is subtle. And it does not love your children or you. And if you suffer, the evil likes that suffering. Okay, they're going to have a party coming up on Saturday. Well, on Sunday, the others are going to have a party, and they're going to pretend, because we live in the world of make-believe. They're going to pretend that this bread is flesh, and they're going to pretend that this wine is blood. And they're going to eat it in remembrance of the Christ. and drink in remembrance of the Christ. Okay, these other guys, they're not pretending. That's actual flesh, that's actual blood. They didn't just go away. Oddly enough, they're pretty much running things. Okay, now there's these others that don't like them. There's these others that are on the right hand path, mostly, that don't like those on the left hand path. And the ones on the left hand path, they make music. They're beautiful. They're wealthy. They want you to aspire to be like them. Some of you actually even, you're fans, you worship them, and you cannot believe when people tell you, in no uncertain terms, that they're evil. Only evil people would harm children. Now, some people are good people being dumb and bad and harm children on accident because they believed the evil persons. But there's also people that, well, they're not good people being bad. They're bad people being evil. All right, those people hate America. They hate Americans. These are people that believe our rights come from God. Hawaiians too, right? The Hawaiians, those crazy Hawaiians, they name their God, Kane and Wahine. The only people on the whole planet that name their creator gods and then name themselves after it, right? Because the word for man in Hawaiian is Kane. The word for woman in Hawaiian is Wahine. It's also the two gods that created in their mythology. They have a lot more than just those two, but anyway. But the bottom line is the Hawaiians and their kings told you that your rights didn't come from palapala, didn't come from a piece of paper, and didn't come from the king. Right? Your rights came from the gods. The gods gave you those rights. The Christians believe a God gave you those rights. Unalienable rights. You couldn't give them away if you wanted to. They're not yours to give away. They were given to you by God. Right? Americans are crazy because other people in Asia, my sons are running into those, and in Europe, they believe that their rights come from the emperor or they come from the state, especially communists. Right? They want the state to be all-powerful. The state isn't all-powerful. Our state was created to preserve our rights. And they've twisted that. And now they're fighting hard to keep a hold of that power over you. Because too many people are waking up at once. Because see, our system of government, the constitutional system of government in capitalism, it doesn't work for amoral people. It doesn't work for people that can't do the right thing without having somebody tell them to do the right thing. Right? It doesn't, unless most people that they were thinking about when they set this thing up were supposed to do the right thing whether somebody was watching or not. And what's happened now is if nobody's watching, it's very clear that they'll get away with whatever they can, including murder. And then they'll tell you a different story. Okay, those people are being routed out. And we're not there yet, but we're getting close. And if you've been paying attention, and you can see through the haze, because they want fog of war, the guys that we're going to, I've got nothing to do with this, hardly, are going to wrest the power from and remove it and try to turn it back to the people. They don't want that. And they'll give you all kinds of excuses. Hands off. Really? Really? Okay. Again, I have had clientele, and that's the other thing. Really, this guy? My clientele, I've had billionaires, more than one billionaire, actually. And I put their pictures on my website. You wouldn't know if they're billionaires, and you don't know where those pictures are. And yet a lot of the biddies that came to this website, I try to take pictures and put, you can't put pictures of my children up. All of those children that I have on my website, most of them are not children anymore. They're not young anymore. A lot of them you see on my website, I had to wait till they turned 18. Okay, were you helping the cause or slowing the cause down? Again, you should be paranoid because, as I just said, there is evil in the world and there are people that would try to lure your children But go take a look. Find the names of the people that are on my website, or the children that are on my website. Further, tell me where those pictures were taken. Were they in Hawaii? Were they in Florida? Were they in Texas? Were they here in Arizona? Were they in Montana? Were they in New York? You don't know just by looking at the picture. And even really good nerds, I'm a pretty good nerd too. So if the nerd actually was trying to find out where the picture was taken, because there's data in every pixel, I took care of that. All right, the idea being that you guys weren't helping. Because, see, the word needs to get out. People need to understand that the mathematics, if more people understood the mathematics, we wouldn't have half the problems we have now. Take gold and silver. Have you noticed that the price of gold has kind of sort of gone up as measured in FRNs? Have you noticed that? A lot of you may have noticed that when I started buying gold, and I'm not that old, it was like 272. My first purchase of an ounce of gold, and I don't have any gold at the moment. None. Not an ounce. Well, that's not true. I think maybe we have like a half an ounce, maybe something. But overall, no, it's silver. I have silver, and most of that I gave away, and a lot of that certainly I'm not keeping it here, right? Because once they figure out you got some silver, what's to stop them from kicking in your door and taking the silver? Well, these things, but at the same time, why even go through that, right? Okay, but you need to have some silver. You need to have some of this because we're transitioning out, and the guys that don't want you to have, yeah, those are the bad guys. They want you to starve. They want you to cry out to them for help, and they'll come with a solution. Right? Problem, reaction, solution. Here's the problem. We've got all these people in the country that we don't know who they are, and they're foreigners, and they're illegal border crossers, and they're all criminals, and they're not all criminals, and we know this. And a lot of them are not taking benefits, but a lot of them are taking benefits, and a lot of them are, that's Claude Piven's strategy, where you just overwhelm the school system, you overwhelm the social safety net with people that can't, right? Because going to Thailand, my boys didn't get into Thailand without being able to show that they could support themselves. They didn't get in, right? You can't, right? And when they wanted for the extended visa, and now their visa's about to run out, and they're going to have to go run away for, like Fiji. You have to leave for 24 hours. Well, it's an island, so of course the government and the airline have a deal where they kick you out, and you have to go for at least 24 hours, Australia, anywhere, and then you can come back, and then you can stay for another 6 months. Now, we know this because my girlfriend has property in Fiji. Anyway, long story short, you have to spend money with the airline, don't you? In order to leave, in order to get that visa. But the bottom line, even Fiji, you don't get to just immigrate. You don't just go there and stay without proving that you have some means. Okay, United States, on the other hand, America, we'll let you come in. You got to fill out, you got to go through a process. But doesn't matter, right? We'll let you immigrate. Whether you have means or not. Now, we'd rather have it where you had some wealth to bring with you. But at the same time, if you don't, you can still get U.S. citizenship. And then they love it because they can tax you. Because U.S. citizens are subject to tax. Again, if you want to find out, I haven't paid tax. Me personally, I haven't paid tax since 1998. When I figured out that, wait a minute, I didn't owe that tax. I'm not getting away with anything. I don't owe it. Same thing with my sons, understanding that when you're exercising privileges, there are no, right? You are subject to others because those are privileges and benefits. But when you're exercising rights, there's no penalty for exercising a right. Now, they've converted it into penalties. You have the right to raise your children any way you want. That's called an intangible right. And yes, that right is a property. Those are property rights. That doesn't make your children directly your property, but technically, yes, your children are your property. And the King of England and the Pope claim that property. It's a long story, again, that I'm not getting into. Hey, man. Cool. Of course I have. You know how I used to be a DJ, you know. Heard that song like 4 or 5 times a day for days. Anyway, the point being is that you are about to go through some changes. And the changes that are coming, these are changes, these are like once, not even once in a lifetime changes. These are changes that are once in multi generation changes. And I've put videos here from guys that are smarter than me and spend more time doing economics than I do, Martin Armstrong and so forth. There are lying liars that are going to try and tell you that tariffs caused the Great Depression. If you can't do math and you believe that they were safe and effective, okay, that's a good story for you. But if you can do some math, the tariffs absolutely did not. And enemies of this nation have told you repeatedly that, oh, you don't want tariffs. They all put tariffs on us. Out of all, like 127 countries, 126 of them put tariffs on American products. And for a lot of those, there were no reciprocal tariffs. So they had access to our markets and they restricted our access to theirs. So now, oh, and this is another thing. Some of you guys, if you are on prescription medication, you better figure out how to be able to get your prescription medication because we're in a bit of a tiff with China right now, if you hadn't noticed. And this is awesome. I'm over on TikTok. The Chinese have basically spilled the beans that pretty much all those luxury products that you're paying top dollar for, yeah, they're producing them for like $10 or $4 or $2. I saw a guy that was selling Nikes, basically the same shoe as Nike, $2. Hey, order. We have no minimum order. If you just want to order one pair, we'll ship you one pair. If you want to order 100 pairs for your store, we'll, all right? But they're basically Nikes. Same thing with Gucci. I mean, all these different designer things that, you know, cost thousands of dollars for these bags and so on. They are made in China. They're shipped to Italy or shipped to England or shipped to France. In France, they sew a label on, and because they can say made in France or made in Italy when actually the whole thing was made in China. And a lot of those manufacturers now are on TikTok telling you how you can order directly from them and it's the same product. And you don't have to order in bulk even. Some of them you do have to order in bulk. Some of them you can just order a couple or one. Quote unquote designer clothing. I was never into the labels personally. That's just me. But I mean, I know people that those labels are important to them. It's a status symbol. Okay, so because it shows that they have money. Like I said, many of my clientele, very much the upper class. Because back in the day, when I was a younger man, I was tutoring, and I used to charge, when everybody else was charging 50 or 60, I was charging 20. And then it was a big damn deal for me to raise my prices from 20 to 25. I had an unlisted phone number. And back when, you know, the phone was connected to the wall. And I had more business than because word of mouth, everybody. Oh, this guy only charges $25. And I get results. Right? You come to me, and I'm not the kind where I want you to come for years. I want you to come, okay, you having trouble with fractions? All right, 5, 6 lessons, not an issue anymore. Sometimes one lesson. I have numerous students where in 1 or 2 hours, I cleared it up because they understood the concept. And once you understand the concept, all they can do is change the numbers. So you'll see on my website, Garrett, I can't think of all, I mean, but many, many students where they were coming to me with Fs and then they were getting hundreds. To the point where I had to go to their schools because they were being accused of cheating. Because how is it that a week ago, you were getting 30s and 40s and today you got a perfect score? Oh, I've been getting tutoring. Well, who is bullshit? He couldn't teach you, right? Because the teachers who are trained by the DOE to dumb you down couldn't believe that in 1 hour I could teach them, yeah. And I used to hear this all the time. You learn more in an hour in my class than you would all week or maybe even 2 weeks in public school. And then some people had the gall to try and say, oh, this doesn't really work. And yeah, we had fun doing it. We play games. We play What's Under the Cup. We screw around with blocks and build triangles. Oh, look what happens. And now I just met this guy. He's awesome. He does animations. And a lot of the stuff that's in my head, he's put, right? Ooh, so I can see that, oh yeah, Pythagorean formula and distance formula, same thing. And there's plenty, I've been in universities where the university professors arguing with me that those are two different things. No, it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Oh, we're going to graph a circle. Oh, that's x squared plus y squared equals, right? It's still just Pythagorean theorem. And then we're going to do x plus y is c or x plus y is a or however they're, whatever symbols they want to use. It's still just, right? And you're going to, I'm not even going to do it. And here's the other thing that's been fun. I've been going on TikTok and other places looking at other people's proofs for Pythagorean theorem. Mine's better. Mine's behind a paywall though. Now it used to be out in the open, but now it's behind a paywall because I realized, yeah, you don't see that. And you know who taught me that Pythagorean theorem, the one that I show you? I'll show you how to use the blocks to make it absolutely clear. I was a 10-year-old in Utah. Hey, mister, look at this. Oh, that's pretty cool. Right? You don't have, because when I did it, I would take the two sides, the two squares, and then I'd have to trade blocks so that it would fit on the other square. And he goes, don't do that, you could just do this. Right? A child taught me that. Because I put him in a math-rich environment. I've told that story about the second graders at haiku school. And see, the teachers at a haiku school, I wanted to give my son pinhole glasses. Why? Because he had some issue with his eyes. We could have corrected it with these. Again, I cut myself off before I told the story. I've been around the block. When we used to do seminars, I sat in a booth, and just so happens that the lady next to me invented pinhole glasses. So for 3 or 4 days, we just sat and talked stories, especially like when it was, if you've ever been to a homeschool convention or other conventions, there's times when the booths on the floor are full of people, and then there's times when there's pretty much nobody there because they're all in breakout sessions and all getting, right? Okay, so when it was quiet, we'd sit down and we just talk story, and she told me all kind of groovy stories about how these things correct vision and all the different data she had and all that. She wrote books about it. Anyway, and my book is signed by her. It's in storage in Hawaii, on Maui, but it's signed by her because I didn't just go up to a book signing. I mean, I sat with her and talked story for a while. How did you even come up with the idea? And see, optics and mathematics. All right, the teachers wouldn't let my son wear these in school because he couldn't see his eyes and maybe right? Okay, so now my son wears glasses. Should I sue the stupid bitches at haiku school that wouldn't let my son? And it was a teacher's aide, not even the teacher. Right? No, you can't wear those. They're corrective glasses, you stupid bitch. All right, I have public school. I have no patience for those women. They can't teach mathematics, and they dumb down your child. And they were so stupid, they went along with this and encouraged them to do this. So they became a danger to your child. And then Kurt Lund became a danger to your child. To the point where he was actually, don't listen to that guy, right? You fucking wrote letters or emails to my clientele? You fuck? Really? And then there are some others, I'm not going to mention names, but you can tell by looking at them that they don't even know how to feed their fucking selves. Right? These fat bitches. And they were telling you, oh, this system doesn't work. Really. Again, I have people that are going to be that's how old I am. Second generation. Right? I'm teaching I taught them, and now I'm going to teach their kids. Because it doesn't work. And they also told you, oh, you should put don't listen to that guy, you should put you're going to get in trouble. I think dying of cancer is more, right? Okay, I'll mention her name. Most of them aren't watching. Some Seabury people might be watching. Linda's a fucking librarian, lecturing me on how you better go get your shot. Linda dead now. Her cancer was in remission, and as soon as when she got double vaxxed and double boosted, boom, immune system destroyed. Cancer came raging back. By the time they figured out what the issue was, it was 4th stage, and I don't think it was 6 months between her last shot and her funeral. Might have been a little longer, but not much. Will anybody admit what happened or why? And this is a librarian. So I figured, oh, if I give you some stuff to read, oh no, we've done our research and we're comfortable in our decision. You're a conspiracy theorist. Okay. In Hawaii, we say make. She make already. Why? Because cancer. Which wasn't caused by climate change, gardening, or energy drinks. See, if I talk like this on YouTube, boom, video gone. Instantly, they take it down. Okay, so here on Facebook, I can get away with speaking semi-freely, but even there, they're going to make sure that, okay, well, the AI, because I don't believe that there's a human sitting there watching this, but the AI picks up certain words, and then they flag it, and then maybe, and then you got to understand, even with AI and flagging it, do you know how many videos go up every day? Do the math. There's no way, even with AI flagging, there's no way that they have enough humans to review all the stuff and see if it, and certainly, and if they do, they're not humans that speak English. They might be hired labor from the same way they do phone rooms for the big companies. You know, like when you call PayPal, you know you're calling Philippines or India or whatever, right? Customer service, because it's just so much cheaper over there. Okay, that's going to change here soon. We're going to actually be able to have some call centers and pay them well. But guess what? A lot of you better start teaching your children AI, because that's not going away. It's like the people in the early or mid 90s and I told them, internet, man, you better know, right? Because I could see that the internet was going to be the place, right? And that I'd be able to reach way more people. Take my mother. My mother was a teacher for 30 years. She had about 30 students a year. Let's see, 30 times 30, that's a tough one. 900 students in her whole life. Okay, there were years there where I was doing, 900 or more students coming to my website and buying stuff and so on, watching videos. And used to be my videos would get lots and lots of views. Now those videos, even the math videos, are throttled down. And it's the same thing. When we see, again, got to pick words carefully, even though the idea is that you have the ability using the internet to reach many more people. So they don't want you reaching many more people, especially if you're saying things that go counter to their narratives. And see, this is the thing with the mathematics. The mathematics will counter their narratives. Examples. Oh wait, before I go there, and I'm going to write it down so I can come back to it and not forget. Oh look, a piece of paper. What I was going to talk about was... Okay, so some examples. Let's take one of the great stories. We all came on slave ships. Okay, we now have the ability with the internet to do the math. There is no way that we all came on slave ships, especially when you see the attrition rate of when they did leave Africa, and by the time they got to they didn't leave with they literally just dumping them overboard as they died. That part's true, because a lot of times they'd get disease and it'd go right through because they're all chained. Okay, so they weren't bringing millions and millions and millions. And they certainly didn't bring them all to what we call United States. A lot of those wound up in the Caribbean and in Haiti and in South America and Brazil and so on, Mexico. Okay, so if you do the math, can't be. There's another really popular story that gets you in a lot of trouble. How long does it take to burn a body? Even in modern times, how long does it take to burn a body? All right, find out that information and then do the math. the story can't be true, especially not in the amount of time that they told you that that just the story can't be true. Further, if you know a little bit about chemistry and so forth, they couldn't have put the gas that they said they were using into because the fixtures in those old things would have exploded the gas. Anyway, did they do horrifying things? Yes. And did I have family members that came home after World War II and told horrifying stories that I didn't hear directly because those men had already passed by the time I got there, but they were passed on to me by the women and men that they had told the stories to. And yeah, that war was horrific in all manner. I'm not cutting any slack, but certain stories are just stories. And the mathematics will not bear them out. Now, again, Christians. I think I put the thing down there with Candace Owens. I'm sure I put it on this page. How come you know the 6 million story, but you don't know the 10 million by the communist Bolsheviks? Okay, and a lot of those Bolsheviks, oh, in fact, the head Bolshevik, he wore a tiny hat. Okay, how come you don't know that story? 10 million is more than 6 million, and the 10 million is actually a whole lot more verifiable. Okay, maybe you use the mathematics and trust but verify. Because just because they wrote it in a history book doesn't make it true. And see, we found that out the hard way. Just like, no, they're going to tell you, right? If you read the history books, 12 guys with these, okay, that's not what happened. That's going to be revealed here shortly. And then there's these others that, see, every time some news comes out that begins to open people's eyes, do you notice bad things happen to try to distract you? And sometimes good things happen to try to distract you. But whatever, they want you distracted. They don't want you thinking about or knowing about some of their lies that are being exposed. Again, the mathematics will make it so that you can see through the lies. Oh crap, you're just going over here, huh? You're distracting me. No, not Timu, man. I'm telling you. There's a way. You got to go over to TikTok and see. It's like crazy. Timu is like, anyway. No, I have not set up that. It's not so much light sensitivity to correct the muscles in your eyes. Yeah, see? The Irish. A lot of them came over as indentured servants. I have Irish men in my going back on my mom's side. Um, and anyway, and Lithuanians and Russians and well, they're related to them. The Russians didn't come. The Lithuanians did. The Germans did. The Danes did. Right? America is in fact a melting pot. My mom's side of the family is Euro mutt. My dad's side of the family is of African descent, Moors that were already here from the Moorish Empire in the Tennessee, Mississippi River valleys and so forth. This is oral tradition passed down to me. And see, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get rid of guys like me. Right? And this age group, they didn't want people that... I remember chickenpox parties. I remember when everybody got measles. Everybody. So I will warn you about that. Way back, the Japanese already figured out that MMR was bad. They didn't have MMR when I was coming up. But I did get a mumps shot for mumps, and I got the mumps, which really pissed my mom off because she was a teacher and you only got so many sick days. So if her little boy was sick and there was nobody to watch her little boy, she'd lose money. So she tried to prevent it, right? Trying to do the best for me. And I got mumps. I did not get measles. I did get chickenpox. I did get rubella. I did get scarlet fever. I did get a lot of these things. And I had been vaxxed against some of those things. How odd. Happily, I didn't get polio. All they did was rebrand that. Polio didn't go away. They just call it something else now. Epstein-Barr or whatever. But the idea being is, if you can do the mathematics, many of the stories that they tell you, you can discover are not true. You can see through. Which is why you want the mathematics. And you want the mathematics, from a very early age. And music, that's the other one. Introduce music. There is no, music is one of the best things you can do for this brain. And your brain loves it. Little children love music. And see, this is the other thing. A lot of you need to understand your windows of opportunity for teaching the 400 math facts and 45 add-ins are closing. Because the older they get, the harder it gets. I already have an 11-year-old. She's too cool for multiplication rock. 12-year-old, way too cool for multiplication rock. Right? 13, absolutely too cool for multiplication rock. Well, those are for little kids. Just learn the patterns. But if they're 4 and 5, music is music, and they like to hear it, and they play along, and they'll listen along, and you can use that. But if you wait till they're 10, and then on top of that, I've shown you many studies, and shown you the fact that this thing, how it develops, starting from when you're born, and you're basically asleep with your eyes open in delta, because your brain is only making delta, and then pretty soon you can start making theta after about 2 years, and then pretty soon you start making alpha up until you're about 7 or 8, and then pretty soon you can start making beta when you turn 12, and then the last one is gamma, and we hardly ever talk about that one. But see, so many students, you wait till they're in beta, it's going to be really hard to get them to memorize stuff. Right? My sons have thanked me repeatedly because when they were little, I made them go to Chinese. And now, a lot of stuff that they, right, if you wait till you're in high school to learn some of that Chinese, you can't even hear the difference. They can hear the difference because they've heard it since they were little. It made a huge difference for them. Right? And I spanked my boys. They were acting up with a Buddhist monk. Well, not Buddhist, Taoist monk who spoke Chinese. And she was very upset with me, by the way, because she told them that, oh, my boys were assing off in class, the two of them. And they came home and got a pretty severe spanking. And then after that, they never assed off in her class again, ever. Right? They're boys. Right? When I was a boy, our principal could spank us. Mr. Shishito put a paddle on my butt more than one time because I was one of those kids. Right? And then the other thing is, if Mr. Shishito put a freaking paddle on my butt, when I got home, I was going to get it again, either from my mother or from my grandmother. Why did you get spanked in school? And now it's, oh, it's, okay. We have two completely different philosophies going. The unschoolers, you'd never touch your kid. And now we see what happens to the ones that think that there are no consequences for their actions. And actually, it turns out worse because they wind up in jail. Right? Discipline is a gift. Now, that's a tangent, but I'm telling you, you don't want to hear that. There's a thing that you absolutely don't want to hear. And I don't think it should be for mom. It should be for dad to do that, right? Wait till your dad gets home. Okay, we've gotten away from all of that now. No consequence for your actions. You can do whatever you okay. And we see how the society works. The society was not designed to work like that because the structure was not set up for immoral people. And see, because it wasn't set up that way, some very, very immoral, not just immoral, but evil people have infiltrated all the way from the top down to the bottom, down to your school boards. And people have started to figure that out. And when you put your child in school, they have more claim on the child than you do. And if you try to press your claim, well, you sign some documents when you put them in there, and those documents waived those rights that you thought you had. I don't care anymore if you believe me. You need to do some research. Go over to One Stupid Fuck. I'm going to put a couple of links below. It takes hours and hours to get through the information. If you, and my sons have gone through all of it, basically. That's why they have 5-star passports and a 4-star passport. My son didn't get a 5-star passport. Again, let's go back to that story. You see, I'm just, what do they call it, the weave? I'm just ranting and rambling here. But the idea is that if you wait till you're 19, as my son found out, those voidable contracts, yeah, you had 1 year grace. So he only got 4 stars. So the moral of the story is teach your sons and daughters, set them free, make them American citizens. They will get a 5-star passport. You can find out what that means, right? And then with that 5-star passport comes great responsibility. And many people don't deserve the 5-star passport, so they don't get the 5-star passport. They get a 3-star passport, or 2 or 1. You'll notice the real ID is a 1-star. Okay, if you have a 5-star, you don't need a real ID. And that's a whole thing don't worry about it. It's not going to be what you thought. But that was problem reaction. Oh, we've got too many people here that we don't know where they are, so we need to get, so we can tell you guys apart and make everybody safe. There's going to be a transition period where that's a thing, but that's probably going to, and don't even worry about it. If you got a 5-star, it doesn't matter. Okay, and when you find out how 5 stars work, like I said, it comes with responsibility. And you have 1 year to get it done. So when your children are, say, 15, 16, 17, and going on 18, there's some civics that you should teach them. And the civics you should teach them is the difference between US and USA. There is a difference. And then there's some history you need to teach them. What happened with this Civil War that they told you was to free the slaves? 14th Amendment, citizens. Okay, what happened in 1871 after 1865? What happened? What did they do to the silver in 1872? Well, they demonetized. They took the silver. Okay. What did they do in 1933? What did they do in 1938? What did they do in 1948? What did they do in 1964? These are dates you should know. And see, teach your children AI, but if you ask AI, AI will lie to your face, hoping you don't know the difference. I've put some examples if you scroll. Well, a 5-star passport, there's no such thing. Okay. Except for the fact that my sons have 5-star passports. Okay. And then when it comes to the AI, using AI to save time, I'm just waiting for a little bit more because the engines are building engines and so forth. Okay. And let's go back to that. Because I've worked for a couple of billionaires, I've met some other people that work for billionaires. One of the billionaires that I work for, in order to work for him, you had to be top, tippy top. I mean, these guys were so far past me when it came to mathematics, right? Like the champion of the chess club from MIT and from Harvard and Stanford, all the top universities, Cornell and so forth. And then you had to be the cream of that crop. Right? Mathematics, just because you got a mathematics degree doesn't mean, right, you can program, doesn't mean you can logic and reason, doesn't mean you can do, right? There's a lot of guys that can do math, they're nerds, and there's a lot of stuff they can't do, but they can do the math. And there's a lot of guys that can do math, but they can't program. And there's a lot of guys that can program, but they can't do math. But there's a couple of guys in the Doge team that they can do math and they can program. Okay, so then they can build little bots, they can build software programs that are just as good as forensic accountants. And these forensic accountants are finding billions and billions and billions in fraud. And yet, no one goes to jail. Or should I say, no one goes to jail yet. It's coming. And when those things happen, there may be some chaos. So you want to be prepared. Right? My grandma always had a garden. We always had a larder full of canned goods that we used to rotate, right? Because whenever there was a sale on canned goods, you buy a bunch of canned goods, you take the canned goods that are in the back, you move them to the front, you take the canned goods that you just bought, and you put them in the back. There was a lady here, I'm in an apartment complex, Midwestern woman. When she left, she had a big bucket of canned goods. Because she's a Midwesterner. Did she need all? No, just in case. Self-sufficiency used to be an American thing. You didn't just have enough in your house till next Friday. What if you got snowed in? What if there's a disaster? What if something happens that you don't expect? Well, you don't depend on the government to hand you stuff. And as people on Maui found out, and as people in many different places found out last year, the government may not be so dependable when it comes to handing you stuff. And if you do take benefits and privileges, it usually comes with the waiver of your rights and your acquiescence, whether you know it or not, through adhesion to the plenary power of the United States government and Congress. And you waive your unalienable rights in return, right? There's a story in this book about porridge. Okay, my sons never waived those rights, and they let them know I'm not waiving those rights. And see, they had a father that let them know, so they didn't do it out of ignorance. But then the one boy procrastinated. But see, and here's the other thing. And see, and my son actually bitched me out a little bit because I was like, when you got that state ID, because you have to sign, see, state ID, driver's license, and so forth, it all comes with adhesion contracts. They apparently register you to vote, and I should have found that because it's here someplace, and I would have can show you that. Anyway, a ballot showed up here for him. And the way it's a long story. But anyway, a ballot showed up for him. It's a Hawaii ballot, and I got it forwarded and so on and so forth. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And he goes, give me some credit, Dad. I checked the box that said no. Do you want to automatically sign up for voter registration? Use this same so you don't, for your convenience. So that when you fill out a driver's license or you get your state ID, you don't have to go fill out another form and get the voter registration form and fill that out. So they did it for him automatically. And he was like, they shouldn't have because I checked the box that said no. Give me some credit, Dad. Of course I didn't automatically sign up for voter registration. Okay, did you take a picture of it? No. All right, then can you prove that you didn't check the box that said no? I mean, I believe you because you're my son. But if you just say, okay, so no. He should have had a picture, which he could have printed out and sent in with his letter that said, I never registered to vote. And please revoke my voter registration. On Maui, you have to go into the county recorder's office. You can't just send him a letter. You got to go there in person. In person. The man or woman has to show up and put a mark on a piece of paper that says, no, I don't want to. Okay, they're in Thailand. That's going to be a little difficult, isn't it? Okay. There are all kinds of tricks and traps set up for you going forward. If you're paying attention to news, you may notice that a lot of that is, I see actors in scripted events. Because they use the left and the right to steer the ship. There's two rudders there. It's one bird. That's why you have the right wing and the left wing. But it's the same bird. Some of them have this kind of belief and some of them have that kind of belief. But it's the same bird. United States bird. Not American bird. United States bird. If there's a difference. And the time for being polite with you people that want to run away and say, oh, it's conspiracy theory. All right. 5-star passports are not conspiracy theory. The fact that you are considered to be under the authority and owe debts and that you're bonded. I'm bonded. I haven't gotten rid of all my bonds. My sons, on the other hand, had no bonds. Right? And they talk about bonded or free in here, but they talk in code. They speak code language. And if you can't read the code, many get pissed at me. Like, oh, he hates Christians. I hate Christians that only know one, what they call a cipher, which is the literal cipher. There's a cipher in here where this book will tell you all about physics. There's a cipher in here where this book will tell you all about chemistry. There's a cipher in here that this book will tell you, right? Or you can just read the literal story about, right? And if you read the literal cipher, that's the lowest of the lowest forms. There's at least, as far as I know, 10 ciphers in that book. Right? If you know 4 of them, you're ahead of the game. There's a law cipher in this book. How many of you women know that you can stand on the Book of Ruth? You can absolutely stand on the Book of Ruth, but you don't know how to stand on the Book of Ruth. Right? And the guy named Christ, yes, he paid all your debts. He was the Redeemer. He redeemed you. But you don't know how to even press that in court. And see, you're thinking that it's a court? Well, let's see. It's set up under the administrative branch because it's the United States corporation. There is no judicial branch. There is no freaking legislative. It's all under the administrative. And the head guy is the president of the corporation. Okay, go study that and see if I'm lying. Right? You're supposed to be homeschoolers. You're not just, right? That doesn't mean you take the complete bullshit that they taught us in school. They didn't even teach you where to sign your name on a piece of paper. They didn't teach you that one side's public and one side's private. They didn't teach you about the public and private. They didn't teach you about numbers. And here's the other thing. I think, oh shoot, who was it? Was it J.P. Morgan? I think it was J.P. Morgan. One thing that he said is that gold is money. Everything else is credit, to include silver, because you trade it for gold. But anyway, the other thing he said is the difference between billionaires and millionaires. Billionaires, quote unquote, believe in astrology. Well, they don't believe in astrology. They know that astrology has something to do with this construct that we're in. See, because once you start studying the mathematics and you start studying some historical events and you start studying the movement of the stars and planets and so on, you start to realize, wait a minute, because if it was all random and we're living in a holographic universe, that holographic universe can be described mathematically. If you want to know the secrets of the universe, I can't give them to you, but I can point you in the right direction, but you're going to need some math. And then once you go down there, you can't get back, because when you come back, everybody's going to call you a conspiracy theorist and think you're crazy, even though they can't fucking do math or even feed themselves properly. And then just the mumble shit, the stuff that fumbles out of their mouths, and I'm supposed to be polite and smile. I don't suffer fools anymore. We are late in the game, people. You can see that if you couldn't do the mathematics and you couldn't do the thinking, that it was very detrimental, because they're getting rid of a large swath. And the game isn't over yet. As far as I can tell, a guy named Ed Dowd, who lives on Maui and whose children also went to Seabury, and who told his wife and daughter, who didn't believe him either because he could do math. He's a BlackRock guy. And BlackRock, speaking of that, right? Think, trying to tell you, right? Do you think BlackRock's on your side? He is absolutely against Trump because, yeah, there is some money that might be pulled out of his pocket. And also that company, BlackRock, is being exposed for some of the nefarious and ugly, evil things they do on the planet that are detrimental to you and me and your children. Right? But there are many examples where if you can do the mathematics, you won't be fooled by their bullshit stories about tariffs, about climate change. Oh, here's another minor detail. The whole chemtrail thing. How dare some of you try to tell us that we don't know the difference between a contrail and a chemtrail. Again, I have friends that own not just organic, but biodynamic farms. And it's great because you look at their farm from a distance, it's like a little emerald shining, right, surrounded by Driscoll and surrounded by these other companies that use poisons and roundups, and their property's all brown because they use poison. And then they need way more water because they don't have a covering of grass or flowers or anything, the flowers for bees and so on, so they have to use way more water. Anyway, the point being is that these guys know what's in their soil because they don't put anything else in their soil. What's on the soil? So they have animals and they have plants. And that's it. You don't put chemicals. You don't put... Right? And this is the other thing my boys have told me. In Thailand, those backward Thailanders do not use poison, except for the big agribusinesses, where they grow food. What kind of insanity is that? I mean, just basic understanding of mathematics and right that you're gonna don't put poison on your food. Don't put poison on the soil to kill the plants. See, what these guys do is they have a biodynamic farm, and again, they do all their own. They make compost tea and their own composting. They have a full science behind it, where first you put the animals in that will graze the grass down. When they eat the grass, they make poo. The poo goes to the soil. You move those animals to another paddock. Then you wait a little while for the flies to come and lay larvae into the poo. And then you let chickens in there and they scratch and eat the larvae, and you don't have an insect problem. And they also use other animals to keep the things down. So you don't need pesticides. Okay, and then you don't need herbicides because you've got animals that are eating all the herbs and turning it into natural fertilizer. And then if that's not enough, okay, so everybody in that soil, they know what's in the soil. How is the aluminum, how is the barium, how is the strontium, how are the other things getting in their soil that wasn't there last year? Pounds per square. And see, I get in trouble. This will get me in trouble. So I don't name names or anything, right? Because they don't want you knowing that it's pounds per acre that they're finding of aluminum, right? Because it's a very thin layer. But it's like, if you have you ever been in Hawaii? We have condos. Sometimes the condos get left, and sometimes the condo, maybe a window will get left open. Because I had a friend that was a condo cleaner, and I had my boy work for her as a landscaper because she did condo cleaning and landscaping. Anyway, walked into this one condo, and I didn't do condo cleaning, but I just happened to walk in there. I don't remember what we were doing. But anyway, the point is that there was a layer of dust on the floor because a window had been left open. This was Kie, and right. So by the time I mean, like it's a very thin. Like if you just did this, just you see a little bit. Right? But by the time we swept the whole place, by the time she and her guys swept the whole place, right, dustpans. I mean, it was quite a bit of dirt in there. It was a thin layer. See, and there's mathematics. There's mathematics on if you take oil and pour it on water, what will happen and how far does it spread out? Okay, this stuff falls from the sky onto the ground, and all that aluminum and barium is very problematic on the plants. So then they have to put adjuncts, right? That's why they got to do the mulching and so forth to try to counter that poisoning that's falling from the sky. But for you to say that it's not happening, that's just, again, Philistine pig ignorance. Here in Arizona, they've begun talking about, well, should we make some laws about them not being able to spray? If you go on my TikTok, you'll see. They're not done spraying here. It's way less. It's way less. There used to be, I'd go out to the pool or what, and get some sun and look up at the sky, and there'd be crisscrosses and all kind of stuff, and then later on it turns into a haze and cloud. Okay, and we're in the desert. The sky here is blue, and the humidity here is next to, right now, what are we at, 16% right now? Right? This is why my hair doesn't, right? I mean, this humidity is crazy. I'm used to like 60% humidity, right? Or, on a dry, nice, when the trades are coming, so maybe we might get down to 40s, but 60, 70, 80% humidity in Hawaii. If you've ever been to Hawaii, you get off the plane and you can feel the difference in the air. And if you go to Micronesia, I've been there, it's even thicker. When you get off the plane, it's like the air is thick because it's so moist, because there's so much water vapor in the air. Again, mathematics. That air will hold a lot more chemicals and toxins than air that's really dry. Same thing. Where is the driest place on Earth? Is it the hottest place on Earth? No. And I got into an argument with biologists when I used to work for the federal government up on the mountain called Haleakala. because yeah, I work for the feds. I hoard out my brain. Anyway, but the idea being, and they pay me pretty well, so yeah, what the hell? I had a federal driver's license and everything, which drove them crazy, right? Because a federal driver's license is literally a piece of paper that says you get to drive that vehicle. You're licensed to drive the government vehicle, which are usually big white vans, or not vans, but Suburbans, or what do you call it? Urban assault vehicles. Anyway, and it's just a piece of paper. So they, can you see your driver's license? Show them that little piece of paper. Do you have a real driver? What do you mean? That's a federal driver's license that says this man has is permitted to drive this vehicle. Anyway, and then I got rid of that, and okay. And while I worked for them, I still wasn't subject to tax. They tried to tax like 10,000 of the dollars they gave me before I figured it out, because they gave me a couple of paychecks. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, you're taking tax out. Oh shoot! Again, I don't have that piece of paper. See, I just got started, because if I was going to gather everything and do everything that I never was going to get started today. Because I've been planning to do this video since like 9:30 this morning, and I didn't get started till. Are you kidding me? It's 3 in the afternoon. How long have I been making a video? It doesn't tell me. This thing's getting old. I've probably been talking too much. But anyway, the idea is that they took tax out until I told them, hey, stop taking tax. I don't owe that tax. Yeah, but you're a federal employee. Yeah, I still don't owe the tax. Because guess what? It's voluntary. It's a voluntary system of compliance. And they've ruled numerous times that, but you can't just say I don't volunteer. You can't take tax from me because I don't volunteer. There's some paperwork to be done. You gotta let them know. All right. My son's, he was fighting fire. Some of you that maybe you watch this. He was fighting fire all over the place in the western part of the United States. And he did his paperwork correctly. And if you look at his statements where it says federal income tax withheld, there's not zeros, there's nothing there. Because he's not subject to the tax. And he let them know. That's a little side benefit. But see, if the only thing you want to find out about 5-star passports and being an American is so that you don't have to pay tax, if it's just because of the money, yeah. See, for me and my boys, especially my younger son, some of the conversations that we've had, the idea is there's no amount of money that can replace your freedoms. There's no amount of money that you can't give us enough money for us to surrender our rights to you. You can't give us enough benefits. You can't pretend that you're giving us you can't give us anything that will make us knowingly and willingly surrender our rights to you. God gave them to us. One of those rights is to not have our property taxed. Our labor is our property. Look up, even they recognize this. 15 USC 17. Go read that. Well, I'll say it slow. 15 USC 17. Just read the first sentence. See, because the whole thing, United States Corporation, is based on commerce. And your labor is not commerce. Now, the woman that I was talking about that owned the company, wherein she was, okay, what she would do is, my boy, she would pay him 25, and then she would charge whoever it was 35. So for every hour he worked, she made $10. If you have 15 or 20 of those kind of workers, you can make pretty much, $80 a worker a day times, $10 per hour. Some of them more, some of them less, whatever. Okay, that is taxable income. She didn't labor for that. Okay, and it's still voluntary. Check if I'm lying. I can show you statutes. Again, they hide nothing from us. You just don't read. Now, and I've heard, I don't know if Elizabeth's watching. Oh, look, kind of, okay. I can't call you. Well, actually, I think I can now. Yeah, I can't call you because, I can call you when my girlfriend gets back. And even then, for a little while, it's a lot of crazy issues when it came to the phone. Because, see, I want to have a phone that's connected to the wall but I keep thinking we're going to move, and then we keep not moving, so I keep not getting the phone connected to the wall. So anyway, she has a phone, but then she had an issue with her phone where she couldn't call out, and I don't know, because she shares it with her son, and her son's in Mexico, and oh my god. Anyway, and then here on Facebook, they made it so that I've been naughty, so I can't make phone calls using Facebook because me and this guy that's talking kind of low, we used to talk using Facebook, but now I can't receive or make calls because I said naughty stuff like this. So they want me communicating, especially not with this radical. Oh, lion. Anyway, so the idea is that if you understand a few things, there's paperwork to be done. And what, you're in Connecticut or something, aren't you? Are you still in Connecticut? Aren't you on the East Coast at the moment? He's doing, what we're going to call it, native affairs? Anyway, and probably he's not even watching. He probably just typed that and then left. But the idea is that there's a lot of stuff that needs to be in your homeschool, and there's a lot of stuff that you need to prepare for. AI is one of those things. AI is not going away. And AI, you're either going to be replaced by AI, or you're going to know how to use AI to make yourself irreplaceable, or unreplaceable, irreplaceable. There you go. And see, that's another thing. Words, you got to know what the words mean. Right? If you're going to do 5-star, you got to know what the words mean. And the words don't mean what you think they mean. You know that Crewton Ramone is a living individual? I made that name up. So how is Crewton Ramone a living individual? Because it's a figment of my imagination. It's a name that came to me. Well, it didn't come to me. It was given to another one, students. It's a little girl. It's a long story how Crewton Ramone came to be. But Crewton Ramone is a juristic entity now, but it's a legal fiction, and it's a living individual. That means that perhaps you don't know what the words living individual mean when it comes to the statutes, because they don't think, you think this is a living individual. Well, it's true. Men can be persons, but so can corporations. Guess what? United States Corporation is a person. State of Hawaii is a person with employees. County of Maui is a person with employees. County of Maricopa. Oh crap, we really gotta talk. Frick you doing in a hospital? Oh man, alright. Okay, when my girlfriend come home, expect your phone ring. Because I will call you. But I can't call you now because the phone... Anyway, that thing's finally working, I'm pretty sure. And if not... See, she had to go through this whole rigmarole. I can't do it because I don't have a cell phone, which makes everybody crazy. What do you mean you don't have a cell phone? Right? Cops. Give us your cell phone. I don't have a cell phone. And if I did, I wouldn't give it to you unless you had a fucking warrant in the first place. But anyway. And they can't get a warrant because... Anyway, they'll pretend they got warrants, right? I can tell you a story, and that's too long a story. I'll tell you some other time if you want to hear it. But I got arrested. They never did show me a warrant. They never did have an indictment. So I see these people getting arrested for anti-Semitism. Yeah, they don't need warrants. They just fucking come and grab you if they think they can come and grab you. Anyway, long story short, because I don't have a cell phone, I can't. She has Google Call now because she does have a cell phone. Then you get your own phone number from Google, and then you can make calls. Anyway, so I will call you is the long story short, but I gotta wait because her laptop is here, and we keep saying that I don't know the password to get into her laptop, and I don't know how to open up the program, and we keep saying that she's going to show me how to do it, and I keep not doing it. But I tried to get my own, and I couldn't because I don't have a cell phone. Anyway, so and I can call like right after this, she gets home today. I think she gets home like in an hour and a half. So in 90 minutes or so, maybe 2 hours from now, I will give you a call. Promise. Blood oath. I will call you. Okay, where was I before I got distracted? Okay, the idea. AI. You gotta know AI. You gotta know AI. Chat, what is it? Chat prompting and AI engineering. Okay, it's so cool. I'm gonna have some games that AI is gonna build for me where I won't have to pay all these guys to program and so forth, that are gonna teach mathematics. Do any of you guys remember Times Attack? I'm going to have a game like Times Attack, except it's going to teach algebra too. And AI is going to build it for me. And there's all kind of other apps that I can build. And then I just ran into this other guy on TikTok and here on YouTube that he does some of the animations. And if you scroll down, the animations are here. And see, it makes it visually obvious. Because what is the mathematics doing? The mathematics is describing reality numerically. But see, you don't have any pictures. So once we put the pictures back in, that's why this is 100% effective. And anybody that told you that this system, oh yeah, it only works for kindergarten, is an absolute ignoramus and a liar. Probably a liar because they wanted you to come spend money with them instead of with me. Which, by the way, is fine. But don't try and tell me that their system works better, because it doesn't. Because if you don't see the pictures, or if you have inferior material, it makes it difficult to impart the mathematics. And again, our top students all over the place because of Mortensen Math. Some of my students went on to do some amazing things. And occasionally I get a card or a letter, usually around Christmas time. And now I'm getting phone calls. Hey, will you tutor my son or daughter? Of course. Are you kidding me? It's, of course. Right? And what's the understanding? Just like with them, I get to use their pictures on my, right? And I get to make video so that you can see theory in action. Right? I don't just sit up here and write on a chalkboard, or this is how you're supposed to do it, and blah, 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 and here you, right? No, then I show you, okay, this is the theory, 5 basic concepts, and then we're going to take this theory, and here, you can watch me with this student. Oh, she's autistic. Oh, you watch me with this student. Oh, he's 5. Oh, you can watch me with this student. Oh, it's a high schooler. And you'll see that a lot of the lessons are the same if you watch enough of my videos. And you can go on, and I show you. It's now behind a paywall again. And those videos down there are going to get deleted here soon. But I show you how we have superior algorithms. Here, I'll tell you one more story. I get time, and I want to go on TikTok. I'm going to make a live on TikTok, but it's not going to be this at all, because TikTok is going to be pablum. Well, it's not going to be pablum. It's going to be math only. Oh, and by the way, if you want math only, sign up for $1 a month. Woo! If you can't afford that, anyway, $1 a month, and go over here on Facebook to the super duper super secret math page, and it's all math all the time. There's no memes, there's no, right? And there's now some people are starting to load files up that you might want to have. There's video that I've taken down that's behind that, because there's a lot of stuff that's just not for free. I didn't get it for free. Jerry didn't get it for free. Right? We all had to go to the mountain, and it costs money. Right? When Jerry got that, well, for him, he got a scholarship. We had to go all the way to freaking Italy to study with Mario. And then when he came back, he had to do, he was indentured to the Montessori school that sent him to go study with Maria. And this whole thing is because of that. Because Jerry was no disciplinarian, and he wasn't certainly going to, let's just put it this way. As he said, the little buggers were eating me up. They're right all day long, right? They just, like, he couldn't get them to listen, and he couldn't get them to sit down, and they realized that he was, right? Because he was, quote unquote, amoral, but he was a big softie, especially with children, especially with the little ones. So his whole thing is, I'm not going to hurt him. But he did everything he could to get out of that contract, and they wouldn't let him out of the contract. So he was stuck there so many hours a day with these kids running around. So he figured out, oh, let's play games. Let's just play. And then he figured out, wait a minute, I can play games and they can learn a lot of math, and they're right, we'll play what's under the cup, and suddenly algebra's no issue, right? 3x plus 7 equals 2x minus 6. That's easy. Oh, look, factoring polynomials. Right? Here, wait, I'll look at one in my head. Here, you try write down the symbols, and then try to draw a picture of it, and see if we, see, and it's a game we play. I used to play this game with the sons and daughters of billionaires and 100 millionaires, and then just average Joe Plumber, who no longer can afford me, and average dad, right? That's just middle class. But the middle class doesn't really have $60 or $300, well, let's say 6 times 5. If we do 5 lessons in a month, that's $300. They don't have $300 disposable income, which is why I try to make it. Consistently, like 300, 300, 300, 300. Some people 500, and see, I have some clients $500 a month, no big deal, right? 10 months, $5,000, no problem, right? For a lot of people, that's no, you can't do it, and I understand. That's why I made my website. So for $500 one time, you get hundreds of hours of lessons. Do the math. And no, it's not like this, but you can still watch it, and mom can watch, and then you can play with your kids. I do not recommend. There are certain courses, if the child will actually sit there, he can, like the algebra course, but you're going to have to do the math and not just, if you just sit back and watch, that's not going to, right? But if you actually get blocks out and start playing and draw and so forth. So let's play a little game. Okay. Right now, this is blank piece of paper. Let's play a quick game. I want you to draw. Oh, we'll keep it easy because if I put an x to the fourth in there, you guys go crazy. So let's do x to the third. Yeah, let's make it easy. Let's go with 2x to the third. I'm looking at a picture in my mind, and you write down the symbols and then see if you can make the rectangle that I see in my mind. And let's see if my rectangle and your rectangle match. It's a game we used to play. Or, well, used to play, still play. Okay, so I'm going to go with 2x to the third. 4x squared. 2, 4, 6. See, what am I doing? I'm counting x's. So 4x squared. 2. And we'll see 6. So we'll say 8x. And what's got to fit in the corner? It's got to be 6. Right, so see, then this is why we can play games. We're like, okay, let's complete the square. And again, we're doing it. All right, can you factor that? Can you tell me what the factors are? Can you draw the picture? Here, wait, I'm going to do it real quick. This is what I said. Oh, wait. I hope I remember what I say. I said 2x to the third plus 4x squared plus, how many x did I say? I said 8x and 6. Okay, I'm going to draw a picture real fast. And then see, this is the other thing. We can race who can get it first, right? If we got a class of kids. Should I make it super easy and tell you what one of the sides is and make it into a division problem, or can you just factor it? Yep. Now, I can tell you that the factors are x squared, x squared, x and 3, and 2x and 2. Damn my picture. Oops. Uh-oh, can't see it. All right, there it is. Here. There's my picture. See it? Now, if it's like that, if it's like that, we've got a multiplication problem. It's like that, we got a, I gotta do it. There's a division problem. All right, can any little kid do this? Or do you have to be in high school? Can any 5-year-old child do that? Any 5-year-old child can do that. And yet, Matthew C. doesn't even give it to the 5-year-olds. They never see an X, as far as I can tell. Many other programs, Montessorians and so on, don't ever show them that when they're 5. Okay. Can you tell them a little pissy about it? See, because what we got is a game of telephone. And see, and there's the other thing. There's a couple of people. The only reason why people think you're a genius is because you came to me and got some training. And yeah, once you understand some of this stuff, yeah, you can make others understand it. See, at my website, that was the whole thing. Like I said, Jerry filling people's garages full of blocks. Now, if you got a set of blocks, you have no excuse for not being able to use them. And I give you huge amounts of stuff for free. You want the secrets? You're gonna pay. Right? man, it's an oral tradition. There's not a book. My favorite was the Karen that came. It was like, well, you can't be the only one. I'm just going to go someplace else. You're such an asshole. All right, cool. Go someplace. Oops. 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 Nobody else. And if you did find somebody else, they'd probably learn from me. You know why? Because everybody that Jerry trained, they're all dead. All my friends are dead. Some of them, they're dead. You know who I missed the other day? I was actually almost shed some tears. There's this guy named Vaughn. I don't know if any of his descendants or people that knew Vaughn in Utah. Vaughn had killed men. Vaughn had come back from Vietnam. Came back a changed man. Vaughn was, you think I'm hard? He was hardcore, but he didn't swear because he was a Mormon. And Vaughn did the same thing to me that I did to Jerry Mortensen. He invited me over to the house. See, Shaylin, if I come to your house ever again and teach math, you got to make cornbread. Mormon cornbread. Anyway, his wife made me cornbread and delicious food. And he sat on my head and made me show him as much math as I knew. Like I showed him third power algebra, fourth algebra, I showed him trigonometry, I showed him everything. Y equals mx, pre-calculus, calculus, all of it. And he took notes and wrote it all down. Vaughn's dead now. Vaughn was a good man. And like me, hated to see the children damaged. Hated to see the children harmed because these stupid people don't know how to teach mathematics. To the point where didn't just start. The panic attacks in math didn't just start. Way back in the 90s, there was another woman, and she set up a huge tutoring business in Provo. Not huge, but I mean like me. She had I don't know, 4 or 5 students a day, every day. And then she had like multiple classes on the week. She supplemented her income, bought a house, bought a car, fed herself just on math. But when she first came to algebra, she was so panicked and freaked out about mathematics. And those are usually the best ones. That when I started doing algebra, she got physically ill. Physically. Had to go out, throw up in a trash can. We heard her out there puking. Right? Went in. Literally wiped her mouth off. Came back and learned algebra. And when she figured out, well, she's a Mormon, so she wouldn't say these words. She couldn't say shit if she had a mouthful. But when she found out how fucking badly she'd been deceived, and how easy algebra can be, there's 2 kinds of people in the world. There's the ones that they get hurt or damaged, and they want to make sure that that others don't get hurt or damaged the same way they did. And then there's the ones that they get hurt and damaged, and they get resentful, and they don't care if others get hurt and damaged too. She was the other kind. So she was hardcore, another one where she sat on my head and made me teach her as much as I could in the time that I was in Utah. Because back then, we didn't have this ability. This was still a dream. So you had to be there in person. Anyway, taught her as much math as I could, and she turned around and had a thriving business for years. And then one day she got tired of it and does something else now. Actually, I think she wrote a book. Wrote a couple of books actually, and she makes money out, and they sell well. Anyway, the idea is I can teach you how to teach others. I was a master trainer when this thing was done, and master trainer, that meant that I was able to train teachers, not just work with children or work with students. So I could train teachers to work with children. And then the master trainer can train teachers to train other teachers to work with children. I'm about the only one left. Everybody else is either dead or isn't doing the business anymore. Like Laura, she could be doing this, but she's not. She's doing something else. Got tired of it. Oh crap, I can't remember their names in Texas. I'm pretty sure they still got their thing going, but I haven't talked to them forever. But there are very few master trainers that are still doing it. And Jerry's dead, so you can't go. All right, so you're going to have to deal with my personality, and my personality, some of it's an act, and some, right? Because like I said, one stupid fuck. The reason why his stuff is called One Stupid Fuck is so you fucking Karens won't go bother him. The reason why I do a lot of, so that you guys just won't bother me. But if you want to learn, I'll teach you. And I don't care what color you are. I don't care what country you're from. I don't care what imaginary friend you have. Matters not to me. If you want to learn some mathematics, see, but a lot of people, I had this one student where she didn't feel like that should be the right answer in algebra. I'll never forget it because it blew me away. Like, that can't be right because I don't feel like that's right. I'm like, I don't care if you feel like it's right. That's how you do it. And then she started arguing with me. Well, that's not the right answer. And I can't remember what it was, but I mean, it's mathematics. Is one of my fucking favorite things to do, pardon my language, or not, one of my favorite things to do is argue with the younger crowd, especially 5, 6, 7-year-olds, about math. Right? You will never get me to say 2 and 2 is 5. You can't do it. Right? I've been in the tests where I didn't know at the time. I was at university and they gave us extra credit. One was shock therapy. That was fun. Like, they hardly shocked me. They shocked me just a little bit, just to make me think that they would shock me. Anyway, that was a cool experiment. And then there was the other ones where, yeah, everybody else in the room said that was, I don't remember. It said that the line that wasn't the longest was the longest. And I was like, no, that's the long one. What the fuck's wrong with you people? See, that's my personality. I'm not like, I'm going to go along with you. Oh, everybody else is wearing a mask? Okay, I'll wear a mask. And there was another one where I don't think it was triangle and square. It was, but I mean, it was shapes, and they were saying it was one shape, and it clearly was not that shape that they were saying. And I was like, no, right? And believe it or not, that qualifies you for certain employment. And disqualifies you from others. Because I can assure you that governments don't like guys like me. And they certainly don't want guys like me telling people like you how to do mathematics. And I know that's crazy conspiracy theory. But the government, United States, has no interest in Hawaiians or anybody else being able to do mathematics, being conversant in the mathematics. That does not serve them. What they want is compliant slaves that will work hard, and they'll tax you just enough that maybe you'll grumble, but you won't revolt. Or you look around and go, well, that's not right, but you won't do anything about it. All right. If you would like to learn some mathematics, the passwords are just about to change. I didn't get to it because all this other stuff, and I've been trying to learn TikTok. Oh my God, TikTok's going to be a thing. Because the coolest thing about TikTok, there are homeschool moms there now that are following. I barely just got it. I don't think I even have 200 followers on TikTok yet. But there are homeschool moms that have, 35, 40, 50, 100,000 followers. And every one of them has a TikTok, and every one of them does TikTok. So I can stay up till 4 a.m, just scroll, and every person that I see is a homeschool mom doing math, or well, not math, doing homeschool. Some of it's math, and then there's a couple of math teachers there that are purveying products to the homeschool moms, and their products don't work as good as mine, and their methodology doesn't work as good as mine. And mine is Mortensen Math. I didn't come up with it, right? And I've been doing it for 35 years with every kind of student you can think of. There's never been a year, even when so there was a time during the dot-com boom that I have so much damn money that I didn't want to work anymore. But I still kept at least 4 students a year, 4 students a month or whatever a week, even when I had a couple of, $100,000 in my bank account, never mind my brokerage account. That was just the working money. Still taught math. Because it's fun most of the time. Right? And I had some students that, it was just fun. I looked forward to going over there once a week and playing. We played. We played games like this. Oh, guess what I'm thinking, right? Okay, I'm about to wrap up here, but I was going to tell you one more story. I work for a billionaire who has a. I'm going to keep it very, very general. But anyway, he has a corporation or has a company that they trade. That's what they do. He's a high frequency trader. And he figured out a few things, and he figured out that it boiled down to mathematics, and it boiled down to who gets there first, who puts the order in first. So there's mathematics to make that happen. And then if you're going to go to work for this guy, probably you're going to make like minimum. You're going to make about $200 million in a year. Okay, I didn't make that kind of money because I didn't. That's not what I was doing. I wasn't working for his trading company. I was tutoring some of his students. But they had a gathering at the house by the lake of like the top guys from right. They were hoping that they were going to work for him. So anyway, I just wound up doing a presentation, and there were some actuaries there, and there were some high-powered people there because And I gave him a little hour-long presentation. I got more done in that hour than I've ever got done before because I didn't have to do any explanation because these guys all could do math, and every single time, whatever it was that I was showing them in the 5 concepts, and we were going around, and they agreed, there's 5 concepts in mathematics. Mathematics is the study of numbers. All we can do with numbers is count. Highest number we're going to count to is 9. We can only count stuff that's same. We form rectangles to facilitate the counting. Hero 0 and no fun get back to 1. That's it. You understand those 5 concepts and you got the math down. And see this book right here? Look how thick. It's all those 5 concepts. It's just a book of mathematics. And I've got tubs of textbooks like that because I've taught out of every. See, and again, I see how the textbook presents it and confuses them. And then I present it and they get it. Why? Because as each one of these guys who were top notch, and I should have got letters from them, the top creamy cream, the cream of the crop. And not all of them got to work for him, by the way. But all of them said, yeah, you've got better algorithms. My sons have figured out, yeah, you've got better algorithms. My algos are better. The way I show you how to do ratios is better than their cross multiplication. The way I show you how to do subtraction is better than borrowing. The way I show you how, on and on. And they agreed, right? Over and over again. Yep, this is a better way. They understood the other way, and they didn't have any issue with the other way, and they didn't have any issue with symbols only. Most of them had never seen a base 10 block in their lives. And they were graduating with either 4 or 6, one of them 8 years under his belt, because he was going to get a doctorate. And every one of them acknowledged the fact that, yes, these are superior algorithms. And then I show you, right? So not only do we have a superior algorithm, I show you what the symbols mean. Because Jerry showed me what the symbols mean. Because Mario showed him what the symbols mean. Because Maria showed Mario. And now I got some Montessorians that apparently you guys think you're in a fucking free school. It's not a free school. It's directed discovery. Yeah, the child is never going to ask you, hey, I want to learn multiplication tables today. That's never going to happen. Especially not the way we teach it. But if you sing songs and you do stuff, like I had one child and I showed her the patterns for 9s and she took her 9s times tables out to 900. Just to see if she could find the patterns. I didn't ask her to do that, and I certainly didn't make her do that. On her little own, she decided, oh, gee, I wonder if I can find some more patterns. And she got carried away and got to 900, and she was very proud to show me. And I was like, cool. That's your job, Montessorian. Your job is to prick their interest, direct their discovery. 45 add-ins so that they know them by heart, 7 and 8. They don't have to think about it. They know it's 15. 7 times 8. They're not going, is that 54 or 56? Because they've only just memorized it. They can see the picture in their head, and they know. Right? Okay, your job is to direct their discovery. Your job is to make the math fun. How many people have come here and said that their children get up in the morning and they want to do math? They get the blocks out and start playing on their own. And then your job is to sit down with your morning cup of coffee and point some stuff out. Hey, do you see that 4 4 is a square? What's 1 less than that? Oh, 12. What's 1 more than that? Oh, 20. Now, do you see that we can count by... Oh, that when you get 7 sevens, that's a square, and that's 49. And 1 less is 42, and 1 more is 56. Because they want to be 10s. Right? And I teach you all the stories. Again, oral tradition. But most of that stuff's behind paywalls. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff I can't, and I have no issue. I'm not going to have any issue with 1249. Because look at all the stuff that you get for free, and you don't have to register. I don't want your phone number. Right? I don't want your credit card for sure. Oh my God, because I understand that it's very difficult to protect that data. So you deal with your credit card company and PayPal and so forth, and then I'll send you the stuff. But I'm not taking your credit card number. I don't want your phone number. Because I don't want to get phone calls. Unless we set it up. Because I used to get phone calls out of the blue. And then people would tell me their life story about how their children have been abused by math teachers. Right? I should pull some of those up. I used to get letters that were days long. Moms, right? How is that my problem? And why should I do this for free? Right? You don't have a right to my labor, Karen. You don't have a right to the doctor's labor, Karen. Or Meredith. Or Teresa. If you want knowledge, you may have to pay for it. Now, I am forthcoming, and you'll see that if you come to my website, you get a lot more value than $500. Again, somebody's now paying me for pretty much all the video you see on my website. Not all of it, but almost all of it. Somebody paid me $1 a minute for that. Like the algebra course, all those parents, they were paying me $60 an hour. 30 hours and more of algebra there. Do the math. Right? Teacher training, I've upped the price. What? To keep the riffraff out, mostly. I remember going to nightclubs where, a beer is $10. It's not worth $10, but the average person won't go in there and buy a beer for $10. So they keep the riffraff out with their prices, especially if they have a 2-drink minimum. So in other words, you're going to have to spend at least $20 and you're only going to get 2 drinks. But the idea is, one, profanity, yep, already separates right there, like water and oil. So there's a whole bunch of people I don't ever have to deal with. I don't have to listen to them flap their jowls and say stupid shit. Because they won't even come. Oh, look, he just said shit. I'm not going to that guy. Okay, cool. Actually, cool. There's a lot of people that turn out to be, people who swear, right? And like I said, one stupid fuck, that's his whole thing. And I'll give you some other information from another guy that doesn't swear. He's very polite. But when you get some information, you're going to feel like swearing. When you find out that you may have been deceived. And see, that's why the whole system of credit and taxation and so forth, if you know what you're doing, because it's all based on fraud, if you stay in honor and you stay on your square, they can't mess with you other than by breaking the law. Right? Okay. So yeah, there are certain friends you probably shouldn't tell about Crewton Ramone, because all they're going to do is get offended. But there are others of your friends that you probably should tell about me, because I'm telling you, again, AI. You got to know something about AI. You got to know what the words mean. You got to know some etymology. You got to know some mathematics. You got to equip them for the world that they're going into. We didn't grow up in. Our world is gone and it's never coming back. So you're preparing that. So if you're teaching them the way you were taught, there's going to be an issue there. And all I'm doing is pointing it out. And I'm telling you, what's coming is these are multi-generational changes. Our monetary system is about to change. That's so tremendous. What comes along with that is hopefully it's a smooth transition, but if it's not, and see, here's the thing: I'm not a believer in the Mad Max scenario where the whole society collapses and people are walking around with guns and clubs and there's no police and the military's gone. No, there's still going to be. Right? And are we going to have some upheaval? Yeah, I believe we are. But it's not going to be where you can't transact because the billionaires, the ones who make a little bit, see, here's what they figured out. Unlike me, see, and I wanted to do the other thing to begin with. I wanted to charge $5 for my passwords. And then I thought if I had 100,000 people and I got $5 a person, well, then I'd have $500,000. That's pretty simple math. Well, I never did get up to 100,000. And when I had a $5 password, nobody would buy my stuff because they figured, well, for $5, it can't be worth anything. And then when I did have $5, I had the Christian homeschool groups come in and say, well, we've got 300 in our homeschool group. Can we just buy one password and then give everybody the password? Because $5 was too much for each one of the 300 in the Christian homeschool group to buy, right? And yeah, I bawled that lady out. And then she comes back with, oh, he hates Christians. I don't hate Christians. I'm a Christian. I hate broke dick Christians. Because if you are broke dick and a Christian, you're breaking the law. If I will provide for the birds, you think I'm not going to provide for you? He told you this. Anyway, so that was my original idea, and that failed. Especially when they throttle me down, right? Like I said, if you're here, you had to come here. Facebook isn't showing you this. Right? I'm not getting put up. Because before, like, I used to make videos on YouTube, 60, 70,000 people would watch me. I have it. Go look. Not this, a different handle, not Crewton Ramone. Nobody likes math. 60,000 people aren't going to flock around a math video unless it's a stupid math video. But the idea is that it was supposed to be $5, and then I'd have 100,000, and then I'd be good. Okay, I might be able to do that on TikTok actually. Because, like I said, the wealthy have figured out if they just take $1, you don't notice. Every time you take your credit card out, they take a little piece of that. Right? Every transaction multiplied by 334 million transactions a day, and it kind of adds up to some money. Anyway, so the other way to do it is to get $1,000 from 100 people. Ooh, that's much harder. Well, unless you have some marketing. Oh, and I'll end with this. Anybody that would like to market, or say you turn on a friend or something like that, I'm happy to pay you. I've had many of you that won't take any money, but here's the thing: no margin, no mission. So you might give me one or two, but I guarantee you, if every time you gave me a client that said, hey, I don't know, take Anna for example, Anna will refer me somebody, and they buy a password, I'll give her $250. I wouldn't have had it if Anna wouldn't have said something. Or I wouldn't have had it, I'm just using Anna as an example, but I mean, I wouldn't have had it if you wouldn't have said something. So I'm more than happy to compensate you for sending me a client. Right? We used to call those, when I was in sales, we used to call those bird dogs. But if you want a bird dog for me and find me some homeschoolers, there has never been a homeschooler that ever went to my website and went, well, that's not worth it. There's never been a homeschooler that got passwords that said, I want my money back. Never once. Most of the time they write me letters, they're blown away at how much stuff there is for that amount of money. And sometimes they even chastise and admonish me. You got to raise your prices because people think this is shit because it's too cheap. Because the thing wasn't, some of you have figured out that I'm not just talking out my ass when I say it's not about the money, it's about the mathematics. The fact that you guys couldn't do mathematics killed some of you. Anyway, if you would like to earn some cash, right, as soon as they pay me, I'll pay you. And I'm making it now also where if you want to, it's $500. It's about to go up to $12.49. But right now, 250 bucks, you can get the site-wide password. Go look at how much stuff. And I've been adding stuff, and I've been adding stuff behind the paywalls. Some people have noticed, oh, you go behind the paywall, I'm like, oh, this looks different. Oh, look, there's more pictures. Oh, look, there's more video. Oh, look, there's PDFs. Oh, look, there's, right? The fractions page, right? That took, I don't know, it took like 10 years. And see, that's the other thing. My website, I've been building my website for years and years. Some years more, some years less. But every year, PDFs and videos and more pages get added. Every year. There's never been a year where I didn't add something. So now you have all of that. So now when you tell your friend, right? Because there are people that have been with me for 10 years, more. Right? One of those first ladies, there's a little crew of people, and some of them still ask for the passwords that paid $100 way back in the day. Oh, and by the way, when the passwords change, $37.50 will be the optional. You don't have to pay it. But if you're getting the new passwords, and I've added all this stuff, like the fractions page and the additions course and the subtraction course and the algebra course and all this other stuff, and I've made tweaks on that, $37. And if you don't feel like paying the $37, or perhaps you're pressed for cash, because I understand these are not the best of times for a lot of people, waive the fee. Just, you're fine. And also, if you know people, like say there's a little homeschool group of homeschool moms, that's happening. Oh man, I see lots of them on TikTok. Or, they got a little co-op together. They got like 5 or 6 moms together, and all the kids meet together in a meeting room or somebody's living room or a church or a hall or whatever, and do, okay, so each mom, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. Okay, and I'll give you all, right? You come as a group, and I'll give you all my passwords, and you can all use my passwords. Right? I had a couple of people on Maui. One woman paid $250, the other woman paid $250. They all got the passwords. The two of them got all the passwords. I don't usually do the subscription thing because it took me 14 times, but people will say they're going to subscribe and then make 1 or 2 payments and then not. So I changed it where I don't give away everything at first. Like the one lady was kind of pissed. Hey, I paid for all the passwords. I said, yeah, but so far, how much have you paid? $25. Well, then it's going to be a while. Because I'm not giving you all the passwords until you've paid some money for those passwords. Pretty simple. And once again, it's a super duper bargain. Do you have to go stay in a hotel and fly to Idaho? Or come to Hawaii and stay in a hotel? Which, man, think about that, even just one night. Because I was thinking about doing that, but no. Maybe we'll do something in Las Vegas or something. Or maybe we'll do the homeschool convention. We'll see. Anyway, but I'm just not... I'm old. And see, this is the other thing. If you know how to eat and you know how to take care of yourself, this was given to me. A gum disease. It's a long story. But anyway, other than that, most people can't believe that you have to be 55 to get the senior discount, I'm 61. What? Huh? The condescending, you have to be 55. Or when I was in the bus, I'm like, you gotta be at least 55 to get this, to pay $1. Like, I'm not really caring about saving $1, but I'm more than 55. So it says right there, I'm supposed to only pay $1. Well, you don't look 55. Cool. Then I was going to do Crewton Ramone in the kitchen, but screw that, because then it turns into all kinds of problems. But people want to know, well, what do you do? You're a little late, because a lot of my peers now are asking me, what do you do? I can tell you what I do, but you won't do what I do. But it's starting to show, especially since a lot of these guys are dead now. I'm not afraid of cancer. I'm not afraid of their spike proteins. I know what to do. And you're starting to see, look, even this. 61, still not, I know guys, 50. They all thought they were older than me because they're all white and bald and wrinkly. And it turned out I was older than them. And when I was a younger man, I used to have a cougar or two. You ever been with an older woman? Really? How old are you? 40. I'm 50. So no. Anyway, the mathematics has many, many benefits. So you can start to read the studies when they give you some kind of bullshit supplement that says it's going to do this and that. Well, go read the studies and see. Oh, well, 2% of the people had this effect and the other 98% didn't. Well, then probably that's not going to be something you want to spend your money on. But then, like peptides right now, find out about peptides. If you don't know about peptides, find out about peptides. Right? Change your life. Just that one thing. Find out about stem cells. Find out about, I mean, there's lots of stuff to find out about. And I try to put some of that stuff here, along with the memes, making fun of the, it's just too easy to make fun of both sides, right? People think I'm what is it? They're sure I'm a Republican because I make fun of Democrats until I start making fun of the Republicans. Because here I'll agree with here's the thing, I can agree with any Democrat. If there's billions and billions and billions and billions of fraud, how come nobody's gone to jail? If they really did steal that election, how come nobody went to jail? Maybe the system doesn't work the way you thought it did. And maybe that's about to change. And maybe there are some that don't want that to change. So maybe there's going to be some strife. So maybe you should prepare. And it's coming. We are no longer years away. It's happening this year. You've got months and days. And just prepare. If nothing happens and you don't need, great. But I had a friend, right? He just got rid of his insurance, literally, because the truck that it was insured, he had it parked, and he was hardly ever driving it. So he's like, "Fuck it, I just let the insurance lapse." Like 2 days later, somebody slammed into his truck. That was parked behind the wall, by the way. So the insurance would have been kind of nice, right? Okay. Same thing with the food. Hopefully you don't need it. The water. Hopefully you don't need it. The money saved. Hopefully you don't need it. Well, you're going to need this because the system is changing. We're going from paper. But anyway, get it now while the big boys are getting it. The big boys have the price pushed down. Have you noticed that the price of gold has gone up like 400% in just a little while? 48% this year. Okay. Gold always leads silver. So silver is going to be going up 400% and more just to keep up with gold. Right now, let's do a little more math. I said I was going to quit. Gold to silver ratio is over 100. It only in 1,000 years it only stays at that ratio for a few weeks. At 90 to 1, it only stays there in 339 years. For 3 years, it has been above 90. Okay, if you can do some math and logic and reasoning, you can see that this is the most undervalued asset on the whole planet right now. And India is scooping up millions of ounces of this. So is Russia, so is China. China is going around, and I know this because I know miners. I used to live in Idaho, and miners know miners, and silver miners know silver miners. And anyway, the idea is that there are a lot of miners where the Chinese, not in America, but in South America and Peru in particular, that I know about personally, the Chinese were paying them double spot. Not for this, but for Dure, which is like the extra. They have to take that, ship it to China, and then process it and turn it into silver. And they were paying twice as much, so they wouldn't take it off the comics. All right, the big boys know what's coming, and I'm telling you what's coming. This is, right? And they've been saying silver's going to hit the moon for 20, 30 years now. There's some friends of mine that are pissed because they got FOMO, right? And the silver price went to 50, and it hasn't been back to 50 cents. It crashed right after they bought. And I've been telling them, average down, average down, average down. Because there's a whole bunch of silver. I bought that one crash when they took it all the way down to $11. I bought a crap ton of silver, and then it went up back into the 20s, and I sold that. So it made twice the money. That was an easy one. And right now, because of mathematics, my boys are traveling. Because mathematics, because trades. Right? They're supporting them. This is better than college. By far. So the idea is math. Learn sums. But what's coming is coming, I don't know, right? Okay, like when the market crashed. And see, I was teasing my boy because he wound up on the wrong side of that trade. And I was warning him that the market was going to crash. He should have made a crap ton of money. Instead, he lost a quarter of his money. And he would have lost more if he didn't listen to his dad and sell half. Because we're in a bear market. Well, actually, we're in a very volatile market, but it's mostly a bear. We're in the bear. But see, during the bear, there's going to be some crazy bear market rallies where you can go long and make money, but you're not going to stay in the market. And then there's going to be some more crashing going down. They've got to change the system. Okay, one thing I learned in Vegas, bet with a house. Don't bet against the house. So now, using the math, they built Las Vegas on 51%. The odds that I taught my boys, and I didn't teach this other guy, Johnny Bravo, I should put some courses down there. You don't take the trade unless you've got an 85% better or better, right, of it going your way. Don't even put the trade in if you don't think you have an 80% chance of it either going down or up, depending on which way you're betting. Because that's all you're doing in the market. So right now, the big boys are taking the market down. The greatest market rigger is Donald Trump. He understands, right? And he's making money for his friends. His friends and your friends are not the same friends. I have been around billionaires. They do not think. I have sat at the table where everybody there except me had hundreds of millions of dollars. I was an amusement, actually. It was anyway, that whole evening was awesome. I mean, great food. Anyway. And the point is, they don't think like us. They don't think like you. Their aspirations are not your aspirations. Their thinking is not your thinking. And they understand the concept of collateral damage. So don't be collateral damage. I told my sons the same thing my grandmother said to me. The best thing you can do for the poor is not be one of them. Okay, the mathematics can make that happen. AI can make that happen. Right now, AI can make you money like you wouldn't believe. But you got to learn how to use AI. And you can't be afraid of it. Okay, you got to learn the words so that you can learn the law. It's homeschool. You got to learn some history so you're not fooled with the bullshit history they put in history books. Because you figured out now that our news is bad. Right? They told you, they all came out and said safe and effective. It wasn't safe and effective, was it? Okay, so if they lied about, what else are they lying about? See, that's what radicalized me, and I'll end with this. That the mathematics, when I met Jerry Mortensen, you gotta understand, everybody thinks I'm some kind of super math genius. I'm not. I was failing calculus. And there went all my scholarships. See, right? I can die now. You know why I can die now? Because numerous children have come to me that were failing just like I was. And unlike me, who couldn't find anybody, well, actually, I could find one person, but I wasn't allowed because he was a public school teacher. A guy named Toshi Yamashiro. One of the best math teachers I've ever met. Because he understood it. When I showed him this, blew his mind. Because he was doing all the math with, just using symbols. And he could make me understand. Anyway. The point being is that if you're going to be successful, you're going to need some mathematics. And I was no math genius. This system works. It makes me look like a genius because I can now teach the calculus. I can teach, right? We're the donut factory. Me and Mooey the moo cow. Teach you y equals mx plus b. Absolutely, positively works. Right? If you want to learn how to use it, well, I can show you how to use it. And if you've got a set of blocks, you don't got to buy nothing. You can just go to my website and you can spend weeks and months at my website without ever having to pay. Because there's that much stuff now. Because, like I said, I've been building it for more than 10 years now. More than 15 years now. Holy crap. More than 16 years now. All that experience, all in one place for $500. You can't take the personality? Good for you. You decided to believe somebody that spoke softly and sweetly and wouldn't make a mean tweet? And now you got dead family members. And all I can say is, oh well. I see, and then you want me to feel sorry for those guys. Well, I'll pray for them, but that's about it. Because I don't feel sorry for them, especially the ones that I went to their house and warned them, and they did it anyway. Okay. And oddly enough, they're not like, wow, yeah, I should have listened. Nope. They're even worse. There's a Hawaiian here. Te maha oi en nuha. En anokia. Okay. I'm done. I'm going to go fool around on TikTok and that'll be math. I'm just going to do math on TikTok. And I'm going to do a live, and I'm just going to be fooling around with math, showing them, oh, look. But I was going to say, that's what radicalized me. Because back in the day when Jerry first showed me this, and I went, what? Calculus is this? He showed me integration, and he showed me why x approaches zero. I just went, oh my God. Right? He showed me, like I said, I didn't cry. I got mad. Right? A lot of women will cry because that's their, right? See, here's the thing. Men, like even this one guy right here, right? Screw you guys. I never learned the math. Right? I'm going to play football. You can give me the F. I don't give a shit. I'm not coming back. That's a guy. That's how guys deal with that. Right? Women, on the other hand, most women, there must be something wrong with me. If I don't get it, there must be something wrong with me. Right? And they use that because the demons, the evil ones, they know that's your personality. So they blame the student. Okay, it's not the student's fault. Their system of teaching mathematics sucks. It doesn't work. We have evidence all around us all day long. It doesn't work. The way they teach math is an utter fucking failure. To the point where we have kids having panic attacks. And then I get the Karens, could you make your website more like the way I learned in public school? We need a track to run on. I know we're supposed to be ABC, and it doesn't look like you just do A, B, C, D, E, F. I want to just know how to, right? No. The answer is no. Fractions will teach, right? We can start in pre-calculus if you want to. We can start with trigonometry. You want to fool around with triangles? Yeah, let's fool around with triangles, and we'll study. Oh, look, the ratio at 30, it's 1 to 2. So let's start learning how to count by twos. If this is 1, this is 2. If this is 4, what does this have to be? Oh, 8, because it's twice as much. Any little kid can learn that. Oh, let's start with algebra. Let's factor some polynomials. What are we learning? We're learning add-ins and multiplication. No, we have to start with making numbers and addition. And then we have to do subtraction. And then we have to do multiplication. And then we have to do division. Yes, I'm fucking mocking you. No, you don't. It doesn't work. The fuck does it take? How many more kids have to fail? You know how many kids commit suicide every fucking year because of the mathematics? Many. See? Start getting pissed off. Why is that guy so pissed off? Oh, I don't know, because little girls are having panic attacks over algebra. All right. You want to make a difference? 1, send people to my website. 2, and it's a certain kind of person, right? It's not for everybody. Just like the truth isn't going to be for everybody, but mathematics is the truth. But that's what radicalized me when I realized they're lying about how hard math is. What else are they lying about? And then it turns out damn near everything. All right, you want to see through? You want to know the secrets of the universe? Learn some math. Get your hands on some base 10 blocks, and I will show you how to use them to best effect. I don't care what base 10 blocks. Some don't work. Right? Because I've told you I don't have it handy. Do I? Do I have it handy? I don't have it handy. That the cube doesn't work for doing this kind of math. And if you just have this, and units, and you don't have the ones that are stuck together, unifix cubes, that's not as effective. And you'd know that if you'd been in classrooms for the last 30 years. And you'd know what works and what doesn't work. And I can tell you what works. This system works. What doesn't work? Yeah, their textbooks don't work. And some of those textbooks are designed to confuse. I used to have this one, and it's amusing because his mother was a dentist, and she actually pulled some of the mercury out of my mouth. Anyway, and most of the trade that I did for my sons. But he had a textbook, and we were noticing that, they'll give you like 1, 2, 3 examples, and then the next thing that you're supposed to do on your own without example had nothing to do with these 3 examples. You were supposed to extrapolate, and most people can't extrapolate. And we were doing, it's like working together problems, which I can teach any 7-year-old. But he was in high school algebra. All right, their books, a lot of times, I've seen them with my own eyes. They're designed to confuse. And a few will make it through, like the guys that billionaire, right? Then they can do symbols only, and they don't need, right? And they're not kinesthetic learners. They're visual, auditory, right, learners. Anyway, like I said, I was going to quit there, and that's where I quit. The fact that once I figured out that the math wasn't hard, maybe they were lying. Maybe they were lying about safe and effective. Maybe they're lying about the freaking weather. Okay. Crewton Ramone's houseofmath.com for more. And come back, I'm going to put a bunch of fun stuff here. Maybe I'll put some links under this for things I was talking about. Take it easy. We'll talk again soon.